Welcome to Benno and Hamflett In Your House, a podcast reviewing WWE's iconic new generation B shows in order from the bust back to the boom. I'm Hamflett.
And I'm Benno. I'm Michael. It's In Your House now. It's International Incidents, and I was going to say what comes to mind when I think of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, but I don't know. Should I say welcome back to your house, mate? Welcome back to the house. Welcome back home.
It is indeed, to paraphrase two great men on a different podcast, my old haunt, Vancouver, British Columbia. This is simultaneously the happiest and scariest place on earth, because those that weren't bored rigid by my travel tales from a few episodes back will know that I would recommend it to anybody to visit, even to live. I got the sense that if you were going to pick a place to live, you could pick Vancouver, British Columbia, but just stay out of one of its largest areas of natural beauty, Stanley Park, after 7 p.m. because a bit like tag team partners that are wedged together before they have a title match, they are asking you to coexist with coyotes, and I simply refuse to do that. That's not happening.
Yeah, that's a bit like Stanley Park and Walton, Liverpool. Yeah, same story, just no coyotes. It's just bagheads instead and stray dogs. But it seemed like a beautiful place. Like it is. It's one of those places. It does feel just Vancouver. I guess it's where it is, like the side of Canada is, as we always talk about. Like, but it's like it does feel very West Coast. It does feel very kind of. Yeah. It just sounds. It's a cool name, isn't it? Vancouver. It feels like cool things happen and cool people go there and live there, I reckon.
Yeah, like as sort of like two young British wrestling fans dreaming of visiting like exotic places such as America and Canada, International Incident or Vancouver to me might as well be the same Canada as the one that like Kevin Owens speaks of when he talks about him and Kenny Omega driving across ice to get to indie shows, or like when Brett and Dynamite were having to make towns in the prairies or whatever. And then when you actually are privileged or lucky enough to visit Vancouver, you're like, it's just a leafier, even more beautiful New York, slightly north. It's great.
It's like that. It's like any city like that. It's like, there's millions of people here. It's not just like in your head. Yeah. You understand that there's a lot of land up there in North America, and there's a lot of like spread around. But I just imagine like there's basically New York City, there's LA, up in Canada there's Toronto, and the rest of it's just small hick towns. None of it counts. None of it's big places. But yeah, Vancouver sounds very different. My biggest question on it was going to be, when you were there, and maybe we can get this as we do our world tours, where did the 7-Elevens rank when it came to Vancouver? Like, where in the pantheon were they? Were they good quality? Were they, did they have the good local stuff in? Was it a highlight or a low light? That's my question.
So I don't want to offend any like Vancouver natives or people that love Vancouver by criticizing their 7-Eleven range, but my memories of 7-Eleven in Vancouver, because of course you got to try and hit one whenever you can, is that it was about a quality or quantity thing. I remember having a great time whatever I was buying, but I don't remember seeing loads. And maybe I can't decide if that's a mark in the win or the loss column for Vancouver, because obviously there was enough like quote unquote nicer shops to go to, but that's not nice to me. I want to live in the sludge. I want a 7-Eleven on every corner. I do remember, in fact, going to a 7-Eleven quite late at night for like post pints snacks, and it was easily the least scariest I'd been in. Sort of, for like a 1 a.m. visit when you anticipate a little bit of edge in your 7-Eleven at that time of night. Yeah, it was. There was just absolutely no trouble. There was a perfectly nice A&W and 7-Eleven about 1 a.m. I was getting Mountain Dew to go with my 1 a.m. poutine, and they were quite close to each other. It was, it was across the way, and I never got to go there in the end, but it was across the way from a Pizza. And shout out to our friends at Post Wrestling for educating me on that like intrinsically Canadian brand, but unfortunately it was shut, so I couldn't get a Pizza that night.
Oh, devastating. There's another Canadian brand. Someone will have to tell me what it is, but it's like Subway, but you go in and basically you make your own pizza as you go. So they've got all the ingredients out like in the Subway way. And like in the Subway way, everybody gets there and goes, don't know what I want. And it's like, come on, man, you need to know all this works. You got to figure out your bread first. Then you've got to go to your fillings. You can't start with veg. You've got to know the order. You've got to figure it out. It was like that there. It was like this big long list of people in from busy office jobs all stood in front of me, all ordering badly. And then I finally got to the front. And then of course I'm judging all them. And then I have to be the one to go, I want that topping, that topping, that topping, and that topping, and all that type of tomato sauce, but no cheese please. I'm a freak.
No,
and honestly, the look I got, it's like one of the few moments in my life where I've just thought the man wanted to kill me. I think he took his pizza that seriously, and he wasn't impressed. The pizza was good when it came, but it definitely was one of those. I've had that a couple of times while I've been out here where you get that. Are you sure? Are you sure you want it without cheese? Are you sure? I had one, like the pizza place downstairs. They were going, "Are you sure you want it? Because it's quite spicy and without cheese, it won't be." It's like, oh, I've lived a life. I'm all right. I can do it. It's my one weird foible, but it was perfect for me because I got to make that choice. You know, it's a rare thing. Usually, I have to go off menu or figure my own thing. But make your own pizza. It's a thing we should have over here, I reckon.
This feels like a nice time to discuss this before we get into In Your House. It would typically be for housekeeping, but I'm glad I've caught you on this because I've heard this cheese take before. And look, this is one of them listen with no judgment things to me because my issue with condiments and specifically vinegar always gets the question, what, not even on your chips? And it's like, well, it's not like I'm going to make an exception, is it? If I don't like vinegar, it's, I can't go somewhere and not everywhere else. So I apologize for asking a question that I know you will have been asked 100 times when somebody says, no cheese on a pizza. Like, how do I phrase this? What's the binding agent on a pizza without cheese? Like, does it all not just like slip and slide around with the tomato? Because I don't like barbecue sauce on a base, for example. I would want cheese and then I would want the tomato, and if it was chicken or pepperoni, whatever. But is the cheese not like the glue? I understand the flavor. Pick what you want, but what sticks it all down?
Well, it's one of those things, honestly, and this is terrible, but I'd never had a pizza in my life because of it's a weird phobia. I don't know what it is. I always take it back to childhood. I take it back to like around this period when me and our Peter were kids. We were rivals. So he supported Liverpool. I supported Everton. He liked cheese and onion. I like salt and vinegar. Speaking of cheese, he liked cheese. I think I just mentally decided I don't like cheese then. And it became my thing. It would go to McDonald's. You get a cheeseburger. I'd get a hamburger, and we just have to kind of have our like separate lanes. So I think it comes from that. But like for that reason, I literally had never had a pizza in my life until this is terrible. But we visited Auschwitz while I was in Poland. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this in now that I've said that out loud. But when we went there is a restaurant there, and it's weird because it's a very good place that everyone should go to, learn a bit about history, learn about like the terrible things that happened and stuff like that. But like any weird kind of tourist place, there's always, no matter how grave or serious the subject is, there's always going to be a gift shop, which there was strangely enough, and there's always going to be a restaurant. And I just remember going to that restaurant, and they had cheeseless pizza on the menu, and it was the first time in my life I'd ever come across it. Only to find out, my mate said he'd just come back from Italy while we were traveling, and apparently it's a regular thing. There's plenty. Maybe we've got Italian listeners out there. We don't have the Spotify stats to tell us anymore. But I'm pretty sure we had a percentage of people from Italy out there. Tell us if that's true, but I think that is a thing. So it's like, I think it depends on the quality of the sauce. You need like a thicker sauce. Often I'll ask for extra sauce. That will usually help. But to be honest, it's kind of a free for all. Most of the time, it's just bits of pizza flying all over the place, and that's fine. You just got to be careful with it. But yeah, I've had plenty of weird looks, plenty of coming out of the create your own pizza aisle in Asda or Tesco. Plenty of looks at the cashier, and plenty of phone calls from pizza places who've rang me back and gone, "Did you mean to order that?"
That's a gift from the gods for you when they've got like a make your own. It's like me getting the make it plain button on the McDonald's screens. It's, thank God. It's like the end of that awkward worry. Like a make your own pizza station is the one place where you shouldn't have somebody going, "Are you sure about that?" It's like, well, no, I've come to this for that exact reason.
Oh, the beautiful, especially over like being out here in Vietnam as well. The McDonald's, like, just do your own, where it's just like, you can modify, you can add as many stupid things as you like, you can take as many as you're off. Same for me. I can order a cheeseburger and be that idiot who goes, I don't have to stand up at a counter and go, "Can I have a cheeseburger with no cheese?" I can just take the cheese off silently on the little thing. No confusion there. It is one of the world's greatest inventions. But yeah, it saves me the awkward phone calls from pizza shops and other places ringing me back going, "Are you sure you meant to order that? Just before we send that out, we've noticed a weird discrepancy." No, that's me. I'm just fucking weird. But
I love it, man. Those people that paid millions by the likes of Pizza Hut and Domino to create those shots that look like when the turtles used to eat pizza, where the cheese stretches away, and they've spent hours like with those little, they put like baby wipes and then have steam coming off it to make it look like the cheese was piping hot, and it just stretches out like the one, but it's just completely wasted on you. Like, well, get that out of the way, get that straight off. That's like me watching like an episode of Dynamite, and then when some Lucha Libre comes on, I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want that. I want my bland, flavorless North American wrestling, please. Like, get it out of the way.
I'll keep it short, but like, I'm starving now. I want a pizza. I want to go to a 7-Eleven. I am missing the 7-Elevens. There's plenty of them in Thailand, not so many in Vietnam. You'll be in heaven when you get there. But every time I go to like the convenience stores, it's a very different thing. Like sell-by dates aren't a thing. Like literally, I moved that out the way before we went on screen there. Got a packet of Max crisps from Vietnam. Very nice steak. I assume steak flavored crisps from the picture. They went off in March. No one's that asked. Like pretty much every convenience shop here, most of the food, if you look a little bit closer, it'll be like, oh yeah, used before January 2024, and people just get on with it, and no one dies, and it's fine. But I don't feel like the level of quality is quite there that that wouldn't slip past the 7-Eleven. A 7-Eleven is on it no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah. No, it's I'm a sell by when it comes to crisps. I'm fine if the pack's sealed. Sell by date for me. Maybe this relates to your cheese thing. The only thing I won't like sort of trust the second the day it goes out of date, I have to tip milk down the sink. I can't even do a smell test. It's that one thing that like does something to my gag reflex or something. It's like if you've poured it on my cereal and I haven't seen the date, I'll probably be fooled by it. But if I know it's gone one day out of date, it's got to go.
Yeah, that's what started me. I think it is bad smell of milk. I think milk in general. I've said it before on GRAPPL. Well, I'm on my soapbox now. This is why I don't like cheese. It's just fucking weird. We're squeezing milk out of another animal. Like, what are we doing? We're literally like going under a cow and squeezing it and pulling it out, and then like, oh, that's tasty and eating it. It's the weirdest fucking thing. Like when you put it like that. I mean, I know obviously eating meat in itself is probably weird if you try and think about it, but I think there's a logic there. You know, you look what animals do, stuff like that. The fact that we squeeze another animal for its milk and then drink it and don't think twice about it, I just think there's a problem there, but yeah, I know I'm alone. The vegans have got me back, just not with the rest of my diet, unfortunately, as I show off some steak crisp. But anywho, I'm starving now. There we go. That's a bit of housekeeping chat for you. If you want more housekeeping chat, and obviously burying the lead, there will be a note on the intro to the description here on this podcast. But yes, we are still trying to recover things with the podcast feeds. I think, compared to last housekeeping, things are looking very rosy at the minute. We look like we're working on every podcast out there. If you're out there and you've somehow gotten this far, you've listened to us on YouTube or you've searched us out anyway, despite us not working in your feeds, maybe try unsubscribing and resubscribing on your podcast player of choice, or use the link that I've thrown in the description there for Acast. That even might work on Spotify now. We have Say It Quietly.
Yes.
Got a new page up on Spotify. We're just the new podcast, that old podcast, Benno and Hamflett In Your House. They were crap. We're the new improved version. We're the Beware of Dog version. Listen to us instead. Nobody who works at Spotify listen this far and grass us up. But yeah, we are back there temporarily. We'll see how long that lasts as well. But we would prefer you listen to us and other players. But yeah, I think everything is working now, and I think you can find us. And again, if you've gotten this far, you do well.
Kudos to you, Benno, for all your amazing hard work. And I'll throw one in here because people get used to the plugs at the end and chuck them away. Subscribe to the GRAPPL Patreon, because it means that you can catch every GRAPPL episode and you can listen to the lads' fabulous archive. And Benno hasn't paid me to say that. In fact, I gleefully pay him to listen to him say stuff about wrestling. That's the best way to get your GRAPPL content in the meantime.
Thank you. Yeah, same story for GRAPPL. All that should be running again, but if not, Patreon's a good backup. And yeah, for us, like say, if you've missed any episodes as well, thought that last housekeeping was probably our best ever one. We went on a bit long. That's what we do. Probably going to do that today as well, based on this intro. But it was a fantastic episode. Check it out. We had a lot to cover. June '96 was an important year, and not just for my 12th birthday. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. And we thank you for your patience and resubscribing. But as I said at the top, Michael, we are here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We are at the General Motors Palace, and yeah, it's now July 21st, 1996. Like I say, Austin 316 has happened, the NWO has happened, but as you said on Housekeeping, we've got the real big 6-man tag to talk about today. Obviously, we recap the events of King of the Ring 1996 that set us up last time. And as you've noted there, a lot of going to Canada in this period of Fed, because they turn up for the shows. We've got 14,804 people in attendance for this show we're going to talk about today, and approximately 90,000 buys. Couldn't find an exact number on there unless you've got it in your figures, which a little bit down. We are going to get some of those doldrum numbers in the 90s. 6-man tag in the main event really is what it is, isn't it? Like that's half of the reason. It's like the King of the Ring. That's why they stopped doing the King of the Ring so heavy. Speaking of the King of the Ring 96, because you're advertising a tournament, not really a match, and personal issues. What's the phrase? Personal issues draw money. I think that's kind of a lesson to be learned here as well. So a little bit down.
I don't like to. This is going to sound like I'm casting judgment on our American and in this case Canadian friends, and it's a bit like our joke about how they can't seem to change the channel without a mad panic when a wrestling channel changes nights. Do you feel like this about this? Look, the tournament's not drawing things. There's too much evidence to support this is true. The 6-man tags don't draw. There's evidence to support that North American wrestling fans don't want to buy that. I don't get it. You're not just buying the show to tune into the wrestlers that you would want to see on TV, but in action in a different setting. Like that has never, like especially with the King of the Ring, that has never impacted my theoretical enjoyment of a show. I've never got that one. I get it because the evidence supports it. I just don't get the mindset of it. I'm more than happy to, like, it's almost closer to real sport because it's more unpredictable. I'm all right with it.
Do you think it's the way we grew up? Because, like, as we talked about on Housekeeping, like, I was just actually running some Germans out here in Vietnam. I was impressing them with my knowledge of DSF and how you used to be able to watch the wrestling back in the day. Obviously, they loved Bret Hart. Obviously, they had no idea who Gunther was, but I tried to educate them. Goldberg came up. It was a good segue. I did my best. Don't think I made any new fans there, but, like, maybe it's just the way we grew up being European in that, like, yeah, obviously there's times where we don't get the shows like here. We didn't get the In Your Houses, but like I was fuming about it. It's like missing an episode, isn't it? Like if that episode of your favorite television program, obviously we're kids, that's a bit different. But like if the next episode of The Sopranos was on pay-per-view, I think you'd buy it, wouldn't you? You wouldn't go, I'll just skip that one. I'll go to the next one. I'll catch up on the TV. I think it's something maybe that was ingrained in us because we like, not by choice, we missed a lot of shows growing up that now, and especially with the way things are, you know, we always got the pay-per-views cheaper, didn't we? Then there was a network, which is obviously cheaper, and now we got Netflix as the cheaper. It's baked into us that, well, of course you'd watch the pay-per-views unless you're Matty and it's AEW, but like, of course you're gonna find your way to get that in. Like, maybe with the Americans, it's like, I could skip this one. It's the price, isn't it? But then again, In Your House is so cheap that like, come together with your mates, you know, tune in. I feel like it should be maybe there should be more of a consistent base each time. Maybe it says something about the habits of our American friends and Canadians.
I just don't get it. Yes, I understand a format change is weird, but like for the company that like takes a sports league like the NBA, finishes the league and then divides it into 2 groups for like another 2 months of playoffs where unpredictability is so much a part of what makes it exciting. I find it odd that like an unpredictable format like a tournament is apparently, oh no, I don't want to watch that. I might not get Jake Roberts versus Vader because they're in different sides of the bracket. I'm keeping away from that. I just find it strange. Like,
yeah, it's just a same with the moving TV channel stuff and moving time slots thing. It's just something we're just cut out of a different cloth. I say that I think we insult our American. We talk about how much we love 7-Eleven and all American things, but I think we insult our American listeners every time. You guys, we're not talking about you. The ones who are listening, you are the smart ones. I'm sure you bought every pay-per-view and you didn't skip anything, and you've never missed a wrestling show because it was an hour earlier. But the rest of them doesn't make sense. Never quite works out. But speaking of which, the way we obviously will have a exactly the way we would have caught up with this in our I suppose more adult lives. I don't know when you finally would have gotten to see international incident, but it would have been the VHS tape that of course, courtesy of our friends at WWF Wrestling 1 on Twitter, a fantastic follow if there ever was one. And we have the lovely is that purple, is that violet? I don't know what colour that is, that international incident video, but this is how we would have eventually seen it, I think, Michael. I don't know if you're the same as me.
Yeah, it took a while for me to get this one. I remember being shell-shocked really it would have been on a Raw or possibly I might have like just had to wait for SummerSlam to come through, but the visual footage of Shawn Michaels getting pinned by Vader, spoiler for the end of this review, I found like really shocking. And it did make me want to watch this and then not be able to for years without the magazines. I love this cover. It's shit, but I love it. I'll pick on the thing first, Rod, before I'll get to praise it. I just love how look at the heels and babyface teams on the back cover there that aren't aligned whatsoever. If you're watching on the video version of it, there's just been no attempt to justify anything. International Incident, you can barely read because it's so stretched. But that front cover really speaks to me because not just because there's an Ahmed and then there's a Sid and a Shawn that's from like about a year and a half earlier.
Oh, I hate
Do you remember Microsoft Word 95 first having word art and then you making posters that look just like this with like a yellow breakout box, and that the font, the specific white font where it's with Shawn Michaels with the teams, they were where because I remember this template. They've not even changed the font or the style. That's just like word art set in 4 and it's gone out, and then 6-man tags in a different font and featurings in another different font. I'm surprised they haven't got, you remember the pale blue wavy one that word art also had? Like with a tiny little drop shadow in the background. That's the only one missing from this. Yeah, it's the only one missing. I love it.
I even when like I'm doing our art, you know, when we're obviously not professionals here, we're professional podcasters, but not professional graphics designers. There's nothing in me that would allow me to use a picture of Shawn Michaels, not even an old one. I won't even use one that's from the In Your House timeline, but it's very clearly from like January and we're into June or July. Like sometimes as well, where the pictures are very, very scarce and I'm kind of backed into a corner. It's like, oh, fuck it. I'm putting Road Dogg and Jeff Jarrett on the cover, for example, In Your House too. Check that review out if you haven't already. But like whoever's doing this hasn't got that excuse. They must have the materials. They've clearly got an Ahmed. They've got relatively current photos going. You know, if they've got a Sid, I guess that one could be a little bit older. But yeah, there's no accepting that. It's like it's just not just the people in the match. It's all of the verses are kind of off, left or right. Like just correct that just that little bit. It just do my OCD in a little bit. It's like somebody pointed out to us on Twitter that on one of the things about us leaving Spotify now, the and in Benno and Hamflett would sometimes like have an AMP ampersand kind of text there. It drove me mad. If it drove anyone else out there bonkers, I promise you it drove me and Michael even more bonkers because we just tried everything to fix that and I couldn't. I'm pretty sure this person could have fixed this and they chose not to. Instead they decided, what I'm going to do? Put some lightning bolts in the background. That's what I'm going to spend my afternoon doing.
Are they like tempting fate there and wanting another storm to hit Vancouver like it did for Beware a Dog? Like, if anything, these should have gone on the last one, shouldn't they?
I think they've maybe Logan watched this one and went, oh, you know what? That'd look good on my gear, right? Get me the spray paint. We'll sort it out. Maybe it's just a really cool. There's like some 1996 reference out there that fits it as well. But I do like if I had this tape, I think it would take pride of place though. Just having Ahmed, on the side sleeve there as the single picture. I think that's pretty cool. And it's a collector's item as we move forwards and see how Ahmed's career goes. So at least we got that.
Just really quickly before we move on from this one, because I'm sure it must have popped up on one of the prior video covers we've looked at. This is a very UK thing, so I apologise, A, to our American listeners and B, to the people that are just listening on audio. Me and Benno right now are examining the cover in some detail, and this used to bother me as a kid so much. This was rated not an A, not a 15, not a PG. It was an E. And I hate that little E. If you look on the back cover and it says like exempt from certificate, and I was like, oh, is wrestling not important enough for you? Is it not to give it a watch and check it? I would always see that E and think that nobody could give a toss. I'd rather it was a PG or a U than an E, because at least it means somebody's had to give it a once over.
You might be worse. You would just be like, oh, that just make it even less cool than it wasn't.
You never see a film that's an E though, do you? There's no film that's an E.
True, it's always cartoons, isn't it? So you get away with it. Maybe you could have happened, but it's funny that because like I'm thinking of like when I was in GPW like 10 years after this, like Gary Patty's cousin used to design like the DVD cover artwork, and he'd always include one of those because while we knew it was shit growing up. Now that it was like an indie, it was like, oh, isn't it cool? Like, all DVDs and our VHSs look like what they used to look like when we were kids, including a lot of rip-off of WWF art, including the Survivor Series match I was in. Maybe we can pour over that at some point.
I want to see that. You've talked about it. I want to look at that one of these days.
I'll find that. But no, totally it was. But it's a sign of the times, isn't it? 96. No one's asked until the parents come calling because of a certain person we're probably going to be talking about in quite a bit of detail today. But there you go, there's your cover, and obviously the cover art does also reference that there's a free-for-all match on the VHS tape which would become a fixture. Basically they've got the extra time, haven't they? Shows us up 2 hours, so we can find a way to shoehorn that on. But I don't know where you want to start with this free-for-all. I think the highlights are that match and the in-ring segment that's on here as we build to the show. We found is it the 26-minute version you found on, is it Tokyo, the website that it was on there? Obviously very official and formal. Just put it on Netflix, lads, sort it out, get us together. But they were the two main things featured there. Where would you like to start, the match or the thing that kind of is a match but it's more of a shouting match? Speaking of Jimmy Cornette, maybe the forerunner to the, I don't know if you've listened to our Grapple ROH versus CZW show yet, but there's an in-ring debate between John Zandig and Jim Cornette that goes a lot like the one that's on the free-for-all here, and I don't know who gets the worst of it, whether it's John Zandig or it's Jose Lothario Hands Morgan himself.
Sorry, you now made me think as if Jose Lothario was the representative of CZW in that feud all along. Like, imagine bringing him out as them, like him stood next to Chris Hero, and Chris Hero's looking as weirded out as Shawn Michaels does.
White Peter on, jeans on, I could see it. Blood all over.
It's funny you mention that CZW feud, because like, when we sort of compare, like, we use low bars as comparisons sometimes in wrestling. There isn't many occasions in which I would say that this Jim Cornette Jose Lothario debate is good, but when you've got the John Zandig one as a comparison, it at least clears that bar. Like, now we know that there is a worse version of a Jim Cornette face-off than the Jose Lothario one. But I would like to start, if it's okay, Benno, with not A, B. I'd like to speak to option C, which is the little skit at the start of the free-for-all where George or Adam, I forget which, anybody listening to this podcast will know who I'm referring to, the two nerds that they would use, basically to replicate wrestling fans, which you should take personally, and it's WWF telling you what they think of you. But anyway, it's George or Adam. They've got they've got In Your House on, they're ready to watch the pay-per-view, and then it's our old friends, the aliens from a few episodes back, that abduct them and start picking away at the body, and then George or Adam's like, can we do this another night, lads? Like, the Fed's on. So the aliens are like, oh God, I didn't realize it was pay-per-view night. So the aliens beam down to Earth with George or Adam and are in the living room watching the pay-per-view. And God, the Fed didn't know when it was burying itself. It was like, yeah, the wrestling, whatever. Come on, let's get him back up to space. Sonny pops up, and all of a sudden the aliens discover their dicks, apparently. And now they're going to stick around. They're not asked about Stone Cold Steve Austin, not asked about a Shawn Michaels main event, but Sonny is a reason for the aliens to stay. What a way to welcome you into this pay-per-view.
It's one of those ones as well, because there's an advert later, when we get to the main show, the Olympic knockoff one, which is like so bad it's good. I can't wait to gush about that. And then from this period, the stuff that's so bad it's bad, and like anything involving them. It's like, when I was a kid, I wanted to be them, and I thought it was kind of cool. I just didn't understand why they were so lame and why they were treated like they were so lame, because like clearly, like, it was almost like, oh, they're too old to like this stuff. I was like, oh, am I supposed to grow out of this in a couple of years? Is that what I'm supposed to do? Instead I go the opposite. Instead I go the alien way, which is what that's the attitude they did to a lot of us over a certain age, as we talked about a little bit on Housekeeping. But yeah, it's very much a sign of the times, and it's very much Vince built.
You either die George or Adam, or you live long enough to become the aliens.
Yeah, that's life. That's it.
That's how it goes.
They knew what was coming when they bumped it with that. Brilliant stuff. But I will say, before we get to the match, when it opens up and it's Vince, like a packed house, and you've kind of, I've missed it a bit. Like some of the shows we've reviewed, I've missed that like long, wide shot of a busy building. It's like, it fools you into thinking it's the Boom. It's because they're in Vancouver and it's hot and stuff. And then to be greeted not by, I love Todd, we love Todd on this, but to be greeted not by Todd or by Doc or by friggin' what's his face hawking the merchandise, but just straight to Vince, Jim, and Jerry in a packed house. It's like, is this 1996, or have I morphed forward to the end of 1997 or something? For a little second, you're like, here we go. You're rubbing your hands together, aren't you? It's that weird combination, isn't it, as well? The three of them, it just doesn't seem right, because very clearly there's a extra body in the booth that doesn't need to be there. It makes me question who's backstage, like, because usually it's Jim Ross and Vince's ear, isn't it? I wonder who it is that's giving Vince pointers on what to say. But yeah, it's a problem. It's one of those where eventually Vince realizes, oh, I'm the problem, and steps out of it. But like, yeah, it does feel, again, anytime you hear, I think JR and Lawler together, it does feel a little bit like, oh, it's the good times, and then you have to remind yourself, oh wait, no, it's not. Here comes Henry O'Goblin.
Yeah, the Vince, for me, I like them a lot as a Raw group. I think I associate a very happy time for Raw's War with these three commentators. But did you find when Vince became Mr. McMahon, whenever he would go back to the booth and you would get quite excited to have like Vince on commentary again for one night, it never felt the same again, did it? He was always the character by this point. It was always like, get him, Rock, or whatever. It was never, once he was gone, he was gone.
You didn't get your water maneuvers. You didn't get any
No.
of like the 1-2. We got him, though. We didn't. You get like every now and then his voice would go into that weird like counter impression of a commentator that they do. Like he was like a stray dog. It was the strangest. Like Vince just decided that's what commentators sound like. He put this voice on. I'm gonna do that. But it was weird. Like when the boom comes, like trying to. It almost felt like we remembered, but most of the people watching had no clue. That's that used to be the guy. Yeah, he used to be the voice of this shit.
Yeah, the people you were angriest with in the playground because they've just hopped on the bandwagon and you're wondering where they've been all these years.
Exactly.
I remember.
And they missed it. They missed it because they would have had to sit through Vince doing that commentary. So yeah, maybe they're the true winners in life and we're the losers.
We're catching them up. So it's like, welcome to the podcast. I'm not shooting on you. Thank you for subscribing.
Eventually, they learned their lesson and they went back through the archives like all good fans did. But as you say, that's the intro. I suppose we'll go to the match. We'll keep it in chronological order as we do have the first appearance of a wrestling legend, mate, a wrestling god, if you believe him. And again, it's another one of those where it's like he can be JBL. He can be Bradshaw. The APA can be a whole thing. To me, he is constantly, do you know, that's actually Justin Hawk Bradshaw in any conversation that I ever had. Why he had 3 names, I never really understood. Like Hawk was his middle name. It was always a bit shit. A bit like when Corey Graves was on the Indies, he was Sterling James Keenan, and it was never clear which one was his first name. It's a bit like that, but this is hashtag my Bradshaw. It doesn't mean I liked it. It's just the Bradshaw I most remember. But yeah, out there with a ponytail, Stan Hansen, obviously influencer worn on his sleeve very much so. And strangely in his corner we have Uncle Zeb, Uncle Zebekiah, who would use that name eventually in WWE a long time later with Dirty Dutch Mantel. But yeah, anytime I saw Dutch, he wasn't Dutch Mantel. It was like a legend from Territory Wrestling. To me, that was just Uncle Zebekiah under a different name. But yeah, this is very much a character of 1996 against one of our consistent characters here of Savio Vega, who once again gets free for all duty.
Yeah, so the match, there's not like a great deal to say about it, but I want to be positive about it specifically. Like I feel nothing for Bradshaw ever really, because I never really liked cowboy guys. It's just not. I couldn't have been further away physically in the world from cowboys, and I never liked cowboy movies, and I was never that asked about the smoking guns. I was like, the division's only got the smoking guns left. To this day, I'm probably the least like. I'm in terms of like Hangman Page. It's always a respect rather than a love. It's that aesthetic that I'm just.
It's the spite of being a cowboy, isn't it? More than anything.
Yeah, very much so. Very much itself. So. It's not really my thing, but like. I was watching this and I was enjoying it and I was thinking, do you think Savio Vega might symbolize the exact problem with WWE's booking in the mid-90s? I know that sounds a bit of a highfalutin statement, right? But I was trying to imagine, I would have been 11 when this was happening, this match, this era, this period of time. And we're just coming off reviewing Savio and Austin from Beware a Dog in the strap match. I was in love with almost all of the Fed. Like, you couldn't fool me that, like, the dinosaurs down south in the NWO were as exciting as Sean and Ahmed and Sid and whatever. Like, whoever they were going to feed me, I was going to enjoy ultimately at this point. And yet, like, after King of the Ring 95, as good as a night as he had on that night, he lost in the final. And I just never really believed in him as a top babyface. Savio was there and he was hanging around, but he was never going to be my guy. He wasn't going to be. He wasn't going to be my wild man Mark Mero, Benno. Do you know what I mean? He was just never going to be my guy. But then you watch it now, and I don't know if you agree with me on it. Like, we've covered quite a bit of Savio. Like, his work ages really, really well, I think. Totally. And like, this is another example of his work. Like, you can see him carrying guys, and you can see the movement he creates for guys, and his offense is pretty believable. It's not the flashiest, but it's reasonably flashy. But I'm watching it, I'm thinking, this is so energetic. This is so interesting to watch. But it wasn't connecting with me as an 11-year-old, like a real core kid, super dedicated.
The target audience.
Yeah, like couldn't be more, like I'm there giving myself up to this product and I'm still getting nothing off Savio. And I just think, was he representative of the problem? It just didn't matter how good the work was. They had failed at the connection between character and fan.
I think that's exactly what it is. He's perfect for 1996. But 1996 is perfect for no one. And that's the problem, isn't it? Like he's emblematic of the era, and he's like, yeah, if you were going to do this, you want a Savio Vega in your undercard, you want like that happy clappy baby face, and like I say, his work's solid as well, and he just kind of knows his place. He can always be, he's not going to be the top guy, but he can be the best friend of the top guy, as he kind of was with Razor and a couple of other baby faces. But at the end of the day, it's a hiding for nothing, and he's like one of the easy sacrifices, isn't he? Like when it's moving into, okay, we're going to go a bit more adult, what can we do? And he's one of those characters, obviously, before this, you know, they tried putting the mask on him, hadn't they, and tried to go that route, but they didn't even really, you know, like an Al Snow or somebody like that, or a Fatu who got like several kind of repackages. He didn't really get that. He got the Bariquas, didn't he? And then that was it. And it was like, that didn't work, so sod off. And he didn't really fit there either, because it was like, it was more of a heel coded kind of, you know, Savio Vega never gave off gang leader, did he? Like he always came off like the nice guy who's fighting the gang. Like that was perfect. But once the attitude era comes, we don't want nice guys, do we? So he's kind of at he's sacrificed there as well. So it's kind of like right guy, right place, but the place is at the wrong time. It's something along those lines.
Yeah, it's you're right as well. Like No Way Out of Texas, which we might get to one day in another season of Benno and Hamflett In Your House. It pretty much seals his fate, doesn't it? Seals his fate, because if you're ever going to be right, no, of course, but like the idea of if you could be out on your own and if you can hang in the main event, maybe one day you might get a Rikishi repackage. That's probably the best example, right? A guy that has like gritted his teeth through some pretty bad gimmicks and bad times. And it feels as if that was like set up for him to die there that night. But that was probably the moment they went, well, he's not going to get a repackage, and he's of a different era. We're going to have to move past the Savio Vega. And I don't know, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, more's the pity. I'll miss when we sort of leave Savio Vega behind, because I've really enjoyed rewatching him on this little jaunt through the In Your Houses.
He's like the equivalent of, like, you know, once you get out of the Attitude Era, like a Ken Shamrock who just disappears. And it's like, oh,
yes,
I feel like he could have had another 5-10 years there. I want to know what Ken Shamrock in 2005, you know, or even like earlier than that, you know, against Kurt Angle and stuff like that in 2001, 2002. What would that have looked like? And we never get to find out. It's kind of similar with Savio as well. Unfortunately, we would find out with Bradshaw, and the answer was not great. Speaking of people who get packaged and repackaged, but yeah, as a match, it's not up to much. It's only about 4 minutes or so. I thought the finish was ropey. Like I felt like it's almost like Dutch forgot that, because the idea is that he's holding Bradshaw's leg to the rope to help him win, but to get it there, he kind of has to trip his own man, which I guess is like an old school heel thing, but it just looks a bit like he's turned on him at first. I was a bit confused.
Pushes him, doesn't he? He's all pushes Bradshaw.
Kind of, and he kind of topples over. It's very strange.
I've got an audio and a visual observation for here to my sort of conspiracy theory that this entire main event is booked because Vince McMahon believes that he can have a cooler NWO match than WCW. In the commentary, they keep mentioning you've got to buy the pay-per-view for, quote, the 6-man tag that everybody is talking about, which I think is quite a sort of like, you want to rub their hair and be like, oh, guys, you have no idea how badly this is going to go. But visually, I don't know if you spotted this. Did you catch a particular sign in the crowd during this match?
Ooh. Oh, no.
There was a sign in this crowd, right? What a rabbit hole this took me down. And I invite anybody that listens to this podcast and a certain other podcast to like also do some detective work of your own, or indeed shout out if this person is listening. There was a sign in the crowd, Benno, that read, Bruce Lord is a jerk. And I was like, wait a second.
No way.
I went to Bruce Lord's profile on the Post Wrestling website as of July 2025. And where does Bruce Lord live? He lives in Vancouver. That Post Wrestling's Bruce Lord immortalized in the In Your House in an International Incident pre-show? There you go.
Do you have a screenshot? I could send it to him while we're on air and see if he gets back to me. Forward it over. I need to find out.
Yeah, while we're recording, I'll try and get that up. See if it doesn't kill our recording on this Wi-Fi. I'll see if I can drag it up, because Bruce Lord is a jerk. And I wondered if it was like, because it's 1996. We're coming on nearly 30 years. That would have been one of his schoolmates, right? Just taking the piss out of him, taking a sign to the show. So yeah, Bruce Lord is, and he's obviously not, but got to be the same one, right?
He's a great man. We once won at, speaking of, we did a quiz on GRAPPL this week. We did a quiz together, me and him. I think we won that one. I don't think we were cheated out of it, but yeah, cracking man, great taste in music as well, Bruce. But and obviously great taste in wrestling when he's on post stuff. All right, we're gonna find this mystery out by the end of the episode.
We'll try to
it with us, folks. But the end of the free for all, there's some good stuff when it comes to the obviously the main events. But before we get there, we get a bit of build of the Goldust Undertaker match, obviously with Goldust arriving here, and they talk up this very hotly anticipated match between the two. Any highlights from this section?
I actually thought Goldust, as opposed to the one that happened before Beware of Dog, where you couldn't really work out why he was all sort of he was like disheveled, wasn't he? You remember, like, and then he was sort of rattled, and then obviously the lights went out, so he never got any kind of payoff to it anyway. I thought this one was great. Like, just obviously the idea that Goldust is kind of, because of the Mankind program, he's sort of gotten the Undertaker's number a little bit, isn't he? He wouldn't get as many over on the Undertaker as Mankind did, but there was a confidence now. It wasn't the man that was terrified of being in a gold coffin match. It was a guy that thought, you know what? I've got no reason to be rattled by you, because my monster that I've got working for me has got you beat, and we're both in your head. And I thought Goldust, like, he was kind of, as much as I wasn't really looking forward to the match, this promo was actually a promo, and it promoted the prospect of the two overlapping feuds, and what a great job with it. And can we discuss, by the way, this absolutely amazing video that they've made, where
I know, for this cunt we hate, but the video was good.
God damn it, man. Yeah, loath as I am to put over the Undertaker, this video that for 1996, so for those that haven't seen this, it's set to like a more jazzed up version of the Undertaker's music, the likes of which we'd not really hear until the Attitude Era. So a real treat for 1996. But it basically plays the video where you see how the Undertaker for years had just dealt with monster after monster after monster. And then there'll be like a needle drop where it'll come to a stop, and it's just Mankind brutalizing him. And then it's more shots of the Undertaker vanquishing the monsters. And then another needle drop, and Mankind has got him. It's the mandible claw. And it almost suggests that, like, you know, Creatures of the Night, you've seen the Undertaker beat these monsters in the past, but Mankind's different gravy. He's a different beast. Undertaker's going to need you more than ever. He's going to need the stable forces in his life. And, like, what a bit of foreshadowing that is for the big thing to come at SummerSlam. This was fucking ace, wasn't it? Like, I was slapping the arm a bit for this, and this is the Undertaker. Ugh. Like,
shockingly good. I feel like the budget they could have spent on the VHS cover was spent here. Like, they had, at this point, they had people making good music mostly, apart from some of the wrestlers on this, and people making good video packages. No, genuinely, I had the same note. It was like, to be fair, if I was an Undertaker fan, I'd be jumping up and down. I'm not, so I wasn't, but no, totally. and to your point with Goldust, like doing like the whole, like, you know, just having that different setting of him being out there, like at the commentary table and stuff, made it just that little bit different and a bit weird, didn't it? It gave it like a different way of looking, and made you pay a little bit more attention to what he was saying. For a few that I wasn't particularly hot on coming off the last day in your house. Yeah, strong job of building up.
Yeah, I was quite, as far as the free for all goes, it was a nice change of pace from Doc Hendricks screaming at me. If I couldn't have Todd, I was quite happy.
They
with
used
this.
the time better. Yeah, they use the time better because they have that, and then they go into obviously the build for the 6-man tag in the main event. Get a bit of a video package there, as well as, you know, a few of the again. This is where, like, there's just words that stick in my head from being a kid. Indefinitely suspended. Gorilla Monsoon talking about the Ultimate Warrior is one that's there, and also that shot from Raw where obviously Sean and as we talked about on Housekeeping, Ahmed Johnson need a new partner, and they build it up all show, don't they? It's that constant like, you know, it's them two stood to face the camera, telling it's coming, we're going to be announcing it soon, and Sid with his back to camera with like his full perm out, which is like, even as a kid I was like, well, there's clearly no one else that could be than Psycho Sid, but they still had me hooked because I spent the whole show going, right, that's clearly Psycho Sid, but how could it be Psycho Sid? Because Psycho Sid and Shawn Michaels hate each other. Like, surely that can't be. Like, how could it possibly? In fact, saying that, I don't think was he Psycho Sid at that point? Was he? I suppose he was. Wasn't he, from looking at the previous In Your Houses? But so it was like, I suppose we were arguing with ourselves: is that Sid Justice? Is he coming back, having missed the previous year? But like, it was very clearly him. There was nobody else it could have been. I can't think of anybody else who's got that. Who's going down to the hairdressers and asking for that same perm. It was just more the question of how and why.
let's talk about this now because it can get us hyped for the main event before we get back to it later. The 2 weeks, obviously, in the absence of the Ultimate Warrior, they had to turn this around. Like, this to me is that kind of prime. It's awkward putting Vince McMahon over, but there was always that thing, wasn't there, where like when he's had to change an advertised main event, he had this weird belief where it's like, you've got to give them something better. And obviously, better than the Ultimate Warrior in 1996 is hard going. You know, that's Warrior nonetheless was this massive star, and we talked about it. We were excited about the super babyface team, and it's like, well, how'd you get something better? And it's like, well, Sid is a good start, but then everything they attached to this to make it make sense. The idea that Shawn, in an act of desperation, was willing to break Psycho Sid out of the asylum that he'd been in. Like, that was how they explained his time away, that he'd been locked back up in like the crazy house, I think was the word they used. That's pretty amazing. That's a visual that you can get on board with, that Shawn Michaels is willing to. Team.
It's fine.
Yeah. Like, they weren't ever going to say, yeah, he was just doing something else with his spring. It was like, no, Sid's been locked away and Shawn has gone that crazy that he's willing to bust Sid out. And then as if to illustrate, because then you hear Vince on commentary go, Psycho Sid, and the heels, Cornette sells it so amazingly, like he's losing his mind. You kind of go for Sid, like, what a way to put over Sid. And then in the brawl at the end of Raw, when Camp Cornette go to ambush Shawn and Ahmed, and Sid, as if to illustrate that he's a psychopath, speeds in his car and just crashes into that bin. Like, he sends debris going everywhere. Sid is a nutcase, and it's this idea that, like, oh my God, for one night, it's like, well, do you know what? Yeah, like, if you were looking for somebody as crazy as the Ultimate Warrior, you've actually found somebody. As far as a workaround, and by the way, how it gets illustrated in this match when we come to talk about the fans receiving it, this has worked. Like, they've nailed this.
Honestly, that clip where he dragged, like, because it is him. Like, I remember as a kid freezing it, going, "Oh, we were like arguing with my cousins, going, it's probably just a stunt man." That no, it was Sid. It was Sid himself, and that's very clear by the fact that he nearly takes 3 people out, and then when he gets out of the car, he almost falls over because he walks right into like a box or a crate or something like that that's out there that he's just smashed into. It's like, it's proper dangerous stuff. Who would trust Sid and put him in that position? Like, it's insane to even do. But it's like, yeah, obviously that's the whole angle where Cam Cornette have lured Ahmed and Shawn backstage with them when chasing Corny, and obviously Sid, who just for some reason was hanging around in his car, just fucking speeds in, doesn't he? If people haven't seen it, it's an amazing angle in its own right. But it's covered a bit here in the weeks following. It's just madness. And it's weird, isn't it? It just kind of works. It's like, I guess I'll forgive it. I remember Sid knocking around with Shawn, like you say, the insane silent thing kind of checks out, and he's mad enough that he might just hit Jim Cornette enough that he's there. I kind of, and they play it up, don't they? Obviously in this package, and Cornette playing up the fact that he's insane stuff, and playing up the, can Shawn and Ahmed trust him? And Shawn and Ahmed play that up too in the promo later in the show. They make it work, for. Like I said, they had the problem, didn't they? Who's going to be the third man? And like we said, couldn't have been Mabel, so I guess it had to be Sid.
No, I absolutely loved it. And as well, as we're going to get to, in terms of like WWE, for the first time really going with Sid as a babyface since he was Sid Justice, I was quite excited by the prospect of that. I remember vividly thinking, Sid, but he's a goodie. I want to look at this. Yeah, I want to look at this. It felt good.
Which was like, obviously, Vince's first thought, wasn't it? In the early 90s, he wanted them to be the next Hogan. That was kind of I never really understood that. I think the argument was, he looks good. And it's like, he does look good, but also he's on that borderline between looking great, amazing body, he's tall. But again, have you seen his haircut? Have you seen him? Have you listened to him? Like, there's something about that doesn't quite connect. There's that goofball element that maybe fits best as like I say, backup or a heel. But being backup here definitely worked as a role for him. But if that takes us into it, obviously we have all of that build up on the free for all to the big advertised segment, which is Jose Lothario and Jim Cornette. And I definitely drew allusions to the CCW segment. I think the big difference, the key difference, is that Jim Cornette has just a modicum of respect for Jose Lothario, so helps him out a little bit when he needs helping out here. But interesting way to drive a bit of interest to at the tail end of this free for all to take us into the pay per view.
What can Okay, basically, you need something to look at, something to be entertained in a segment like this. So let me say this is the point where you can observe that they've put Mounties by the house set, which I think is a cute touch and plays into something later on, which I don't know if you spotted, but I'm very excited to share. So those Mounties being there. Meanwhile, Cornette having to do that thing that you see in wrestling sometimes where he's basically got to talk for two people, like Jose Lothario. And part of it, English is second language, so there's absolutely no judgment there. But partly because he's expected to remember and recite quite a lot, and that's just not Jose's forte. Cornette has to do that thing where he's like, what did you say? And then repeat the line word for word so that the fans actually know what he's supposed to. Did you just say that you were going to punch me in the face if I called you so? So the fans have something to pop at, and it's like, it's just
he's a master. He's so good. He is.
He's doing his best, and he's doing his best. But whenever Jose, and he did this at WrestleMania 12, whenever Jose Lothario would come out to Sexy Boy, it's such there's such dissonance, isn't there? It doesn't work.
It's clearly a riff. It's funny though as well. You said there that's not Jose Lothario's strong point. What was his strong point, mate?
I don't know.
Can we name it? Does anyone?
When he was younger, could he do upside down press ups or upside down chin ups?
Maybe.
And that's what he taught. Remember when he was a younger man or something, and that's what Sean got off him because Brett couldn't. All Brett could do was run in the snow, wasn't it? So and get tapped out by his own dad. So maybe that's what he had going. I don't know, but I did at very least when Sean and Vader come out to defend the managers and you get the pull apart. Sean's wearing that denim jacket that Barry Dzinski would have sold back in '95. He's wearing his tights, but he's been obviously just hanging out backstage and he's got the denim jacket on, so you can buy that for $59.99 or whatever it is. And before we end the pre-show, there's one last little hard pitch from Doc. And can we talk about, Benno, the debut of the 1996 backstage interview wall with the shimmering stained glass window New Generation logo? I'd make the windows in my house this if I could.
You've written all over it when I saw that.
Oh
it does
my
look good.
God. It's gorgeous, isn't it? So weird. They haven't got a pot of piss in, but some of the aesthetics that they spend their money on, in my mind, they're spending the money right. Stack 5 shit wrestlers and buy a nicer set made out of Fed stained glass window. I'm all for it. This in my mind is where the money should go.
Absolutely, yeah. This is kind of where it does go in this period. It's just it's almost like you know what I mean. You get if you buy a bad house, you buy a cheap house. You just want to make it look as nice as possible. That's what they're doing in 1980s. This is what we've got. What can we do to cover it up and make it look a little bit less shit? And that's one of the ways they do it. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, I thought of you, mate. It was very much a Hamflett thing. But yeah, that's kind of it really as far as the pre-show goes. Obviously, we do then kind of get to the big build to the show itself. We got a bit of is this where we get? Do we get this bit of a Steve Austin interview? Is that here or is that in the main show?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, because
Kevin Kelly.
He's it's weird, this one, isn't it? It's a class promo because it's like Austin in 1996. Once he's rolling, you put the camera in front of him and you get the mic live and he's brilliant. But it's weird that I think he says the 8th day God created Stone Cold and you'll feel the wrath of Austin 3:16, and he's still tweaking it and it's a bit too biblical. I think he does do the because they mentioned about the lip and that's why he's got the rematch. But he's all the Bible references are still a little bit. You need to get away from that. But you know that one with Mr. Perfect, where it's that's not just cold, that's Stone Cold. It's come on, get away from that. So he's still working out the character, but his delivery, even if the content's not spot on, the delivery is so Stone Cold Steve Austin ready to change the world.
Yeah, and the gear is not quite there yet, but we'll get there too. I've got to say, speaking of gear, I can't, because that's where I've kind of misremembered, because we had that segment, and then we also get the Cornette promising a refund segment as well, which is weird, because would you not have wanted to go off the air with the end of the Jose and Jim Cornette segment with Shawn Michaels there in a denim and top matched with his zebra pants? Surely that would be the last image you'd want people to see to sell this pay-per-view. Surely that's going to make most people put the hand in the pocket.
Well, I'm so glad, Benno, you've given me the perfect segue to talk about this, because Camp Cornette, is the sales pitch is basically Jim Cornette tells everybody, foreshadowing the finish, that he'll give everybody a refund if his team lose. And he says something he estimates it's going to cost him something like $7 to $9 million or something. I don't know where he's getting that maths on 90,000 pay-per-view buys. But anyway, he's done the maths and that's how much it's going to cost him, but he'll do it. But you mentioned how you want to go off the pre-show with good gear. This couldn't be more opposite. Camp Cornette look gross. Owen Hart's cast has already gone yellow from being used. Vader's tits are popping out the side of his gear because I think he might have put his vesting on backwards before he switched it before the match, whatever it is. And then Jim Cornette's all sweaty and het up because of like, these guys couldn't look more like villainous. Bulldog is basically doing his In Your House title shot, and it's so sorry, Davey, shit again, that they actually cut back to the commentators before they realize Bulldog's still trying to make a point, so they have to go back over to it and be like, Vince is like, sorry, what was that, Davey? Yeah, something about you're keeping Diane backstage. Are you right? Great, right, thanks very much. Back to us. They're just awful. They're not great heels, are they? They're there obviously for a SummerSlam purpose, but as a group, they're kind of they're more Solo's Army than Bloodline, aren't they, these lads?
Probably explains the buy rate as well with this one. I was going to reference as well that obviously, again, our friends at WWF Wrestling One, they put the poster for this show up again. It's not like a Vader time one. It's not like a big picture of Vader, but it's a picture of Shawn, Superkick, and Davey. And I know, obviously, that's kind of right because we get the 6-man. But I honestly feel like some people saw that poster. I was like, oh, not again. You know what? We'll make. Let's go for dinner that night instead. Let's just do that. We don't want to sit through that again. It's Davey, man. He can't help but stink up this timeline.
Nah, it's especially in that picture because he's in his mid card long tights, isn't he? Oh, like everyone should know, at least pick a one where he's in his main event trunks.
Well, we've got some main event trunks to come and some not so main event trunks to come. But like you say, that just kind of bumbled us through to the main card. It's a very, very, very weird ending to the pre-show, almost like they hadn't quite hit time on the free for all this time. But yeah, we kind of really go straight to the ring, don't we? Again, which is kind of unusual. Obviously, before it, we have our little bumper as you mentioned earlier, and yeah, unfortunately, logo watch is kind of dead on this particular episode. Instead of unless I missed it, we don't get a house doing anything. We just get a really shit spinning international incident bumper instead after the pink Fed logo. It's a little bit disappointing, to be honest, considering we've been following the In Your House logo through the first 8 shows.
It was sad, yeah. It made me almost nostalgic for our early episodes because we said, we will season 1 will be till the house literally comes down. And like, in a way, this is the first stage of that because obviously they'd kind of gotten their kicks with Good Friends, Better Enemies and Beware of Dog. And this is very much where you can tell the titles were more like the shows were more about the titles than the In Your House branding. It was always sort of like, so this was international incident. And then the next one, well, the next few were themed around the challenges and about the people who they were fighting, like Beware of Dog. And it was, you could tell that our lovely new generation In Your House thing, it was like it's got a long way to go, and I'm pleased that it's still got a long way to go, but we're kind of getting to the beginning of the end of the neon glow. Like even this In Your House logo was a gray variant of the neon, and it's like this is they're failing, but they're trying to get serious.
I'm going to hate it in season 2 of Benno and Hamflett when I have to change all our logos to like just a weird grey and like just dark red bloody kind of colours. Not going to be quite the same, is it? But yeah, that is out, and like I say, pay-per-view logo instead is in as like I say, they harp on the international incident pun that they're going with, and like I say, pretty much straight to the ring here with obviously smoking guns and body donners, and obviously for the background on this one, Michael, as we were talking about on Housekeeping and the previous In Your House, there's we're in the midst of the Sunny jumping back and forth between teams. Obviously, Cloudy had been in the body donners corner up to this point as well. I was one of my biggest notes when we get to the match itself is that this crowd is very charitable for a very unlikable body donners team. They do the best to get behind them, more so than you would ever expect. But I guess the baby faces by situation, considering Sonny's done the dirty and is doing the love story stuff with Billy and not so much Bart on the smoking gun side.
Yeah, the story, kind of as you point out, was hung them out to dry before they've even gotten started as baby faces. But I mean, I don't know who to blame here. Do you blame the company for saddling them with the bad pitch, or do you blame the wrestlers for not being able to elevate the bad material? Because ahead of the entrance, which gets no pop, they get some reaction in the match, but the entrance gets no pop, and that's that's going to be killing them in terms of like what the office think of them. Skip and Zip cut in absolutely fucking abysmal promo before this match, as if to just like catch everybody up. And it's like, you know what? We had Cloudy, and we realize with Cloudy, we don't actually need a manager. What we need is the fans. And now with the fans behind them, we can get down to business. And Vince literally says, right, come on then. Like you could hear his voice saying, "Impress me, then, you pair of losers." Like there. This was so like I feel. Is it because it's Skip and because we know that him and Sonny are together, and we also know some other stuff that's happened in the locker room? Does Chris Candido here look like the most pitiable wrestler to have ever walked the earth? Like he's in his trunks instead of his body Donna gear, so he's lost that. In storyline and what we know about real life, he's lost his girl, kind of. We know that the run's about to come to an end. Like this is our last look at Skip in our journey here. And in your goodbye, Skip, goodbye forever. He's just a tragic figure, isn't he? Babyface Skip, and end of the run.
It's kind of like as well, it's like, the whole Cloudy stuff, because they use this promo, don't they, to try and explain where Cloudy has gone. And apparently the lesson that Cloudy taught them along the way was that they didn't need Cloudy after all. Okay, fair enough. But like that never like is gross and awful and of the time like that gimmick is. You usually the aim you would think of that gimmick is to make fun of Sonny and to kind of get the baby faces over at her expense. But I think it just makes them look bad, and because of the baby faces, it's even worse, isn't it? Even with 1996 eyes, it just kind of felt like, oh, so you've placed Sonny with Cloudy. That's that's not very funny either. Like, what are you doing? Like, there just does nothing likable. And like Zip, like he's got a tag team partner. It's his twin brother that doesn't look like him. Guess what his name is? It's Zip. It's just shit, innit? The whole thing's shit, and it's weird because it's like I'll look at this and you say about him coming off as a loser. Yeah, it's almost like the two different people in my head, like Skip and Chris Candido, the cool indie wrestler, ECW wrestler who like we all kind of get behind, don't feel like the same human beings, and it's like I'm transported right back to being a kid and going, who are these lame baby faces?
It is totally. We see it a lot more now, I think, with WWE and AEW, but certainly with ECW more than WCW in the 90s. There are certain times when, depending on the company you work for, you are a beaten down loser or you're 100-foot tall solid gold giant. There is just something about aura in certain promotions. I suppose like an example right now as we record this in 2025, not to date it too much, but be like, if like Adam Cole came back to WWE, you just have a sense that Triple H would be rubbing his hands together and try and make him his Adam Cole again, versus like what remains of this very injury prone, very kind of beaten down guy in AEW. There's just sometimes when wrestlers don't click in promotions, and no pun intended with poor old Skippy, but like his last match, I think on a pay-per-view was at SummerSlam, and it's that 4-team match where he has a neck brace on and he can't bump, so he doesn't even tag in. I don't know if you remember that. It's just like poor old sad Skip, and then you fast forward to less than a year later, and no gimmicks needed in ECW's class. Like he's just reborn, isn't he, in that gimmick? Well, in that no gimmicks needed gimmick.
He's one of those guys like ECW itself that like kind of like that becomes his like go-to, isn't it? That like it's like it's the same as Shane Douglas, they treated me like shit. Look at what I actually am. It's almost like uses the negative as a positive, very much so. But the negative is very negative because like if we get into this match itself, like I say, the crowd didn't really care about the body donners there. I think they get there towards the end. They get a bit of a reaction, especially on the finish, which is a good finish. When we do get there, a bit wasted on them. But the match itself, maybe the reason the crowd start reacting is because it is just built around Sonny, isn't it? Like I say, we've got the ongoing story with Billy and Bart. There are definitely parts of this match where I'm like, was that a storyline miscommunication, or is that just a botch? I'm not 100% sure when it comes to Billy and Bart at various points in this match as well. But maybe they're distracted, like everyone else is distracted by Sonny. Like there's that point, isn't there, where it's like the one with the it's kind of like he's draped over the second rope and they're going to do like the leapfrog, and
Beverly Brothers
kind of
leapfrog
get
spot.
Confused. That's exactly what and it feels like the comedies have to cover because Sonny feels like she's the one giving instructions to Chris Candido. I don't know if you caught that, to kind of get them going again, and it's all a bit like, miscommunication there between Bart and Billy. I guess they're not on the same page, obviously, with Billy's storyline with Sonny. But yeah, it does feel a little bit like art imitating life. The nuts and bolts of this match.
Yeah, they fuck that all the way up. Like, I think Jerry Lawler, because Harvey Whippleman's the referee here, isn't he? And they've been doing the storyline where Harvey's been taking notes on referees and he's just become one himself. And because, like, that makes him a babyface now, Lawler's doing that thing where it's like, that's stupid Harvey Whippleman getting in the way and that kind of thing. And that's the only, you can't cover for it because it's just visible. And I think Billy and Bart are having a moment there. I don't think that's I don't read that as a work. I read that as like they've just lost their cool with each other because somebody could have got quite badly injured on like a spot that you've seen them do and you've seen the spot performed effectively, but it just goes horribly, horribly wrong. And it's got so little. The Guns, I think both teams are at fault here, and the booking. I think all of this, bar the constant rising success of Sonny, is wrong. Like, you've got two baby faces that aren't over. You've got the Guns that, I like the Guns, but they were never good at building heat in matches. Not really. They weren't good at like prepping the baby faces for the shine. And then you've got a story that, like, and a match, by the way, that is a non-title. So this match has got no stakes, or not the kind of stakes that we're used to. It's not like it's for the belts. So the audience are like, well, yeah, if the Body Honors win, so what? It's not like we're going to see a title change. So there's not that usual swell that comes with the, you know, it's cool being in attendance for a title change, isn't it? And that helps audiences sometimes. So they've not even got that working for them. Sonny screaming on the outside to try and whip up some noise is kind of distracting because it's all you can hear at various points is her screaming on the floor. It's just a bit sad. The whole thing all the way around is just a little bit sad. Lawler, I think this is why, because I'm watching the match, not really getting anything from it. Lawler has got like his zingers lined up for the Jake Roberts stuff, like more on that presently. And when he hits one, he knocks it out the park. There's a thing where he says, we're going to talk about Jake Roberts' injury, but never mind the grapes of wrath. I think Jake suffered the wrath of grapes. I mean, that is an unbelievable bit of business. But you're kind of distracted by that because the match is giving you nothing. That's the reality. Nothing.
And as you say, it's mostly built around Sonny. They use Sonny to get the heat. Chicken's Skip setting up a bit of again, like you say, heat from the Guns, who they weren't great baby faces, so they're never going to be able to general a match as heels either. So that probably gives away the game as to why they do a lot of Sonny stuff, because I think that's the only stuff that's getting a reaction in the early going. And you get a lot of, you know, not on purpose, but a lot of miscommunication from the Guns to kind of messing with Skip rather than, you know, putting him away, kind of letting him get the hot, I suppose, lukewarm tag to Zip, who gets caught by the Guns, cut off. Guns go for the sidewinder, which I'll always give them that, one of the cool finishes. Always liked it. And the way they reverse it here is a lot of fun, as obviously Billy is distracted by Sonny to play into that story, which lets Skip come off the top with the drop kick, which allows kind of Zip to shift his body weight, doesn't he, and turn it into a roll up on Bart. It's really nicely done. He uses like the trailing arm he's got that he's using to post and hold on to Bart to kind of pull him over. And it's a nice, it's wasted on Zip, obviously, but it's a nice little body weight kind of move that obviously the workers work himself and Dr. Thomas put together here. So probably the best thing you can say about the match outside of say that it being more background for Sonny stuff, and so is the post match, obviously, with a throwing a fit.
It's another weird lack of commitment to the tag division and the Smoking Guns, isn't it? Because from this match onwards, they've put Sonny with the Guns as her like final team from all the ones that she's worked with. So the idea is like all of this was to get the Guns over and establish them as heels. But from the very beginning, as soon as Billy is kind of infatuated with Sonny, the teasing that it's building dissension between the Guns, and it's almost to facilitate the splitting of them rather than them. They're champions, and they're, for the most part, the team that keeps the belts throughout the summer, but you're already building in that wedge that Sonny's driving. And Billy Billy's the one that sticks out here. He's stuck between, like, 1 minute he's like screaming angry at the fans, "You shut your damn mouth!" And then the other, he's being like a total clown, like he's bumping around, like really flailing like he does. And like Bart Gunn as a stoic baby face, it just, I mean, it could have taken in 1998 if he hadn't knocked out JR's boy, but we don't know that he's got that. We don't know that he's got a killer left hand in 1996, do we? He's just never going to be that guy to be the baby face to Billy's heel. So it just, it's got a long way to go here, and it's never really going to get to where they want it to, I don't think.
No, and like I say, that is literally the 1996 tag division. It is this stuff. Yeah, we've not seen it work yet, and I don't think we're going to see it work. But yeah, end of the year, the Smoking Guns is very much coming soon. But yeah, we go from there. This is why I was confused with my notes before, because there's another Cornette promo here, but backstage with the lads. This is the one where Vader's smashing up the locker room, isn't it? 'Cause he essentially says the same stuff, doesn't he? About obviously wanting to refund the fans if they obviously don't win the main event, that 8 or 9 million figure that comes up later. But yeah, Vader's also barking like a dog, which was my other note from this one. And just walking around, like, isn't Vader one of those people you just look at, God rest his soul, but man just looks like he stinks. I can understand why Sean didn't want to work with him, because he just looks sweaty as fuck. He looks like he hasn't showered since the last time he wrestled. And I knew people like that when I was wrestling training. The gear would stink, but they would stink. Like Vader's one of those guys. And I'm just looking at him here going, I was thinking to myself, I was kind of half hoping, I wish this was taped like after the match, but of course it wasn't. We're live, pal. So this is just what Vader turned up to the arena looking like.
I don't know if his body and his clothes stinks, but as I keep saying on this podcast, I think his work does too. You've got Bulldog here repeating the bit about like how Diana's not going to come out to the ring, and you've got Owen Hart saying like, you've got a great cast here, and he's making the joke with this. And Cornette's excellent at this, undeniably brilliant. Vader, you're about to compete for the fucking world title. Why don't you hit a home run with your promo? You shit, pal. Like, I'm backing Sean. Your new competition has just walked into the company glistening at 6'8" with a guy that Vince wanted to replace Hulk Hogan with. Leon, get your fucking shit together, pal. Like, stop augmenting my argument and give Benno something to defend you with, because he's not the guy, is he? He is not the guy.
It's slapping me in the face. It's like, this is like shit people say is Vader should have been the next big guy in the if it wasn't for that darn Shawn Michaels. And I reckon I probably said it when we did that Shawn show. Getting into the minutiae here and seeing these shows as they happened. Yeah, it's not been good stuff so far. He's not covering himself with glory. There's more bright sparks in the match itself, but we'll maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll get there. But there we go. That's our little backstage segment, which takes us to our second match. And yeah, it's a bit of background to this one, obviously. And we didn't really, when we talked a little bit on Mankind last time, didn't we? But we haven't really talked so much as his introduction to WWF. This would be his In Your House debut, obviously coming off King of the Ring and beating the Undertaker. Jake Roberts was originally scheduled here, which would be an interesting one, Mankind and Jake Roberts. Instead, it's Henry O'Godwin with his generic Netflix music as his opponent here. But yeah, I feel like, and it's kind of a 1-2 with the match that's gonna follow here. Don't get me wrong, we are very much in the new generation, but I feel like the 1-2 of like these matches back to back really slapped me in the face with, no, but the Attitude Era is coming pretty quick here. And obviously Mankind's, and again, like Steve, like we talked about with King of the Ring 96, it clearly wasn't, lightning in a bottle right away, but, we're starting to, start the mini flame was starting to, sow the seeds for what was to come. Mankind was a force of nature in those early weeks, and did feel a little bit more adult than what we'd seen so far in 1995 and 1996.
100%. It's Mick Foley himself actually says, because me and you, I think, would agree that by 1997, especially the summer of 1997, there is a clear better show. It's just not necessarily reflected in the ratings on a Monday night. It's
that delay, isn't it?
Yeah, Foley extends it to 1996. And to his credit, if you were him, you would too, because look at the work that he was doing. And, like the Mankind, probably, because it predates Steve Austin, because he debuts on the Raw after WrestleMania, and he's box fresh, he's ready. That first attack on when he beats Bob Holly with a mandible claw, and then when he does the running elbow drop onto the Undertaker, the one that they would use over and over again in the clips, because they filmed it from that low angle on the arena floor, and you've got Mankind jumping at you. It's almost like a point of view shot from the Undertaker when he hits that cactus elbow. There's kind of two streams they're going with Mankind, and one is linked more to 1995 and one more is linked to the Attitude Era. The 1995 one is the piano slammed on his fingers, the rat, the backstory with his mother, the ear, all this like weird, almost like monster character that we would later learn from Foley was Mason the Mutilator or whatever it was, the drawings of this. That's 1995 and that needs to go, but you can't, it's never a clean break in wrestling. You can't have a bit of one without the other. So that's the bit that they have to find down to just calling it Mankind and gradually stopping talking about that outlandish backstory. But what remains is this violent, sociopathic new strain of fear in the WWF, the types of which that if you'd had this scary heel in 1995, maybe Diesel's run goes differently, maybe sort of all of a sudden Razor Ramon is not so cool and calm and collected in the face of a Mankind. And sure enough, as we've talked about, like I'm worried here because are we putting the dead man over twice? The fact that the Undertaker was willing to sacrifice his character, not just to losing to Mankind at King of the Ring, and not just to getting beaten off Goldberg Goldust as a result of Mankind's interference. But with what's about to happen at SummerSlam, like this is Undertaker buying into Mankind as well. He is buying in, like their brawls and the violence and the sort of the terror that Mankind was allowed to roar on the Undertaker. And you know what I think is quite cute? Obviously, we don't get Jake. I mean, we'll get to Jake in a second, but I quite like. Do you think they looked at Jake Roberts and remembered that him and the Undertaker were both attached to the dark side? And in beating Jake Roberts, Mankind was chipping away at yet another bit of the Undertaker's veneer, because these were allies in darkness once upon a time, weren't they? Like they were the ones locking Ultimate Warrior in a room full of snakes and locking up and attacking Randy Savage at a wedding with a snake. Like Jake Roberts was in touch with the dark side, and Mankind would have beaten him here clean. And it's another guy that Mankind's beaten that makes him look like the Undertaker's equal. I thought that was like, it's a shame they couldn't do that on a pay-per-view, because that was presumably the design here.
I think so, and it plays into, obviously, you know, Undertaker beating him at WrestleMania. You know, the match they had with them too as well. Like was it the DDT on the concrete? Was it? Or was it a tombstone on the concrete?
The tombstone,
It burns into my brain as a kid. Like I always kind of connected those two together and didn't really quite connect in my head why. And it's that side of it. It's how, like, it's the psychological elements of both characters, and obviously they're on the screen together as well before that. But to your point on Mankind, like I would have absolutely taken that as this is a match, and it would have felt a bit like a passing of the torch as well. I feel like Foley could have got something out of it, because you've nailed it there. I think at this point in his WWF run, Foley has just managed to grab it with two hands a bit more, and he's earned that trust, hasn't he, from being on TV and going, you know, my ideas are a little bit better, because totally the introductory character, the Mankind, the Mutilator stuff, like that could fit in with the Berserker and Skinner and all those guys from the early 90s, couldn't it? Like you kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, I could see Vince kind of getting behind that and being into that type of character. But the thing that always worked was the level of violence that he was willing to go to, and like the actual dark stuff, the actual violence, the actual, even to be honest, the one good idea they had that I know Foley will put off, it's like at the end of this match with the piano at the end, you know, and it's kind of the Hannibal Lecter like bit of it. Like there's a bit of depth there too, isn't it? That Foley, you know, adds more depth to, like kind of sinking his teeth into it too, and taking what he was taking chicken shit and making chicken salad. Like that's what Foley does over this these few months leading up to his big run here with Undertaker.
I think like it's like that entrance and exit music thing might be the like pièce de résistance on all of this. I keep wanting so desperately to talk about what happens at SummerSlam, but that in particular match ending with that sight and that music playing, like
it's too smart for wrestling, isn't it? It's HBO. Wrestling's not HBO.
I don't think any point in my life I would have shed a tear for the Undertaker, but that would have pulled me as close as it ever would have come. It's like this. It's like jaw-dropping betrayal has occurred, and the music you're hearing over the top is like Mankind almost crying over the Boiler Room Brawl, and you're hearing this piano music. Nothing is right with Mankind. Like everything is just a bit off, and it just doesn't like. Is it too lofty here to say that there's almost something like Lynchian about the Mankind character in wrestling? You know, like David Lynch created a different kind of fear, like a fear that isn't really of this earth. Mankind was not of this promotion, and the work holds up so much. Like that's
how he punches through, isn't it? That's he kind of punches through the screen with that. It like grabs your attention, forces you.
Totally, and how they would go on to use that for the rest of 1996 is inspired as well. But like,
and then it gets more over because of a sock, as he'll say. But this is the good stuff. This is the deep stuff.
This is the good stuff. Yeah, like that. When people talk about Mankind, you're almost going to ask them, what did Mankind wear? And if they say the shirt and the tie, you're like, whatever. If they say the brown with the strange logo on the back, you're like, you're a real one. You get it. The problem here is that it's juxtaposed with, again, like it's ugly, right? The ugly underbelly. In real life, Jake Roberts has fallen off the wagon and he's missed the show because he's missed the show. But but WWE leaning into that with a story allows Jerry Lawler to knock off these unbelievable one-liners. Like, I think Jake saw the handwriting on the floor. Like, that's so good, man. But that's two shows in a row now, because that's Austin saying, like, get himself a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and remember who he was in his prime. They're obviously telling the wrestlers that it's an open secret that you can take the piss out of Jake because he's fallen off the wagon. But like, it doesn't hold water now, does it? Like you can't do that now. And that's what's happening here. And it's a cloud over the whole thing, isn't it? You know, like Henry Godwin's just a guy because they need someone for Mankind to beat. It's not relevant to the match. He's fighting a pig farmer. So what? You know, like all of this, it's a nice exhibition for the Mankind character, but none of it holds up otherwise, I don't think.
It's to give him, like I say, he's had that Undertaker win at King of the Ring, so it's to give him kind of a follow-up win. And yeah, it would have meant so much more if Jake was there and you didn't have that Jake undercurrents. As it is, it's not really a squash either, because of course it's Foley, so he has to take a bump on the concrete. So like,
oh my God.
By that very nature, he's giving Henry, it's Kenny Omega, isn't it, taking a head drop at a 2.999 off of like some jobber that's never been on a Dynamite before. Like that's, you know, don't come at me, bros, but that's basically what Foley would do, isn't it? And he's clearly been given this match as a way to get himself over, but his way of getting himself over is to also give his opponent that little bit extra as well. But yeah, there's not much to say about the match. Tries to go for a slop drop, still a really cool move. Foley grabs onto the rope and then obviously gets the mandible claw, and that's it really. But yeah, it's very Foley in all of the good and bad ways.
The music playing, the piano music playing, as Mick Foley for no good reason just sprints to the back. Like Mankind just runs to the back. That's amazing. That is amazing.
It's like ghosts are after him, or he's struck by something, isn't it? But you don't know what. Like that's
it's weird. Yeah. It's really unsettling. It's great. It's so great.
Brilliant stuff. Well, yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a back-to-back this one, because we go from that to a rematch from the King of the Ring last month, and one of our personal favorite little combos here. It's not the Ringmaster anymore, although we still got the Ringmaster music. Stone Cold Steve Austin in some very short-lived trunks. I don't know. We're going to find out on this timeline how often he goes with like going to the seamstress and going, "Will you pop this logo on the back, love?" I think eventually he realised that's not worth it. It looks shit. Very strange to see, though, isn't it? Steve Austin with a logo on his arse here against Mark Mero. It's one of the many things as we get into the match that he's still trying to put together here in 1996.
Yeah, the logo on the back. He's got no leather waistcoat yet. He wore this logo trunks as well for a Raw TV match. I think it was against the Undertaker, and I think that was it. I think they made maybe there's one more I'm forgetting from like a Superstars or something. So they went, maybe those trunks did the loop and then they were gone. But like I watched this, and Jim Ross says destined for superstardom personified. Austin having JR on the call is so vital to him becoming the guy, isn't he? We learned this at like Beware of Dog. But like I was going to put this to you because I know that I'm the gay guy and I would talk about this all day. Do you think something as seemingly little as a Stone Cold logo on the back is actually massive? And does he, like, the whole thing has to work, doesn't it, for Austin to work? Like, all of it has to work. He has to swear and he has to, like, just not give a toss. And can you be a guy that doesn't give a toss if all of a sudden you've gone to the trouble of getting like your brand, your sticker album logo printed on your trunks? There's something in the head that doesn't work out, does it? If you're like, if I'm picturing Steve Austin going to the gear maker's shop or wherever I imagine wrestlers got their attire made, right, and saying, I'm the toughest SOB, can you print that for us? It does do something, doesn't it? It does do something.
Yeah, it's true. He's a boot, like, for the reason Garrett probably loves him, boots and trunks, isn't he? That's literally Steve, and that's what works. And it's weird because it's like people that compare the two, they look alike, but like it's kind of what works with Goldberg later as well, isn't it? It's not a rip off, but it's just boots and trunks. That's kind of what works. It's literally. But yeah, if he did start to turn it up in like a pair of kick pads or something, but Steve, you're thinking about this a bit too much, if either so like say if he'd sat there sewing his own name into his arse, wouldn't quite feel the same Steve. Well, I think it's part of it.
To that point, and I like to think that we're sort of in the same brain about this with Austin as well. One of the few things about his 2001 run, when he's trying anything to get over, when he changes the color of his knee braces and the detail on his jacket,
the red
that
and
I
stuff.
can believe. That's like heel Steve Austin is like, right, I'm going to go get flashy colors because I'm Steve Austin now. I'm the bad guy. Like, that's a choice, isn't it? He's thinking, he wants you to think of this character going and getting rattlesnake colored knee braces or whatever, or white ones. That's what a heel Steve Austin would do. He would get the little logo on the back of his trunks, not Stone Cold getting over, not him.
I think it's like Steve's putting it together here in this match, but I also feel like the fans are putting it together because he gets a relatively positive reaction here. Like, it's not, obviously we're not all the way there. Obviously it's not like, oh, there's a buzz here. Like, you're not quite there yet, but there's definitely something there. He gets like some of the cheating in the match gets a bit of cheers, doesn't he? You know, and we love Miro, and hopefully the fans who were around in 1996 did as well. And there's plenty to talk about from like his side of the match as well. But there is kind of something like, ooh, the mid-90s are slipping in here because the fans are kind of getting a bit of a kick out of Miro going up to the top rope one too many times and getting knocked off on his bollocks. It kind of gets, you could just feel a portion of the crowd kind of cheer that and kind of enjoy what Steve is selling there. There's something just a little bit coming together here. And it's like, on top of that as well, it's like I say, it's very early Steve, and it's like, I don't know if you're the same as me, but it's hard to watch a Steve Austin match pre the injury and not still cringe every time it looks like he's about to land on his neck. I've just got that built into me with Steve. Despite him he can move a lot more here, as we talked about with the Savio Vega match, and he can bump around a lot more. It still looks a bit off when it's Steve Austin, because it's just, you're thinking about his neck. You're thinking about like the way he would very safely bump later in his career. I almost argue when he does put it together, part of it is how simplistic he becomes. Part of it is the fact that he drops a lot of the, the extra little twirls that he has here on a lot of his offense, and the way he sells it almost helps him in the longer run to kind of take that more simplistic brawler style. But yeah, the fans are latching onto the little bits that remind you a bit of 97 and 98 Steve already here.
He gradually eliminates it from his game to the point where by 1997, and it's going to be on an In Your House, and I'll try and remember to flag it up at the time, he almost never does it, but he's already starting to eliminate like the clowning out of his work. Have you noticed that? Like, he doesn't, like, even compared to Savio last month, he doesn't flap as much as like a heel would. He doesn't bounce around and pull silly faces
show as much
and all that kind of. No, not really. Like, he still sells for Mero here, but I just think it's in a different way than, like, he sells in that way. And it's a babyface trait where he's kind of always trying to get back to his feet. He's actually fighting his body, and that's a good guy thing, right? That's the thing that is ultimately what gets him through the Brett match, and what kind of the stuff that he's been building about his repertoire that made that double turn happen. It's, me and Sid did the best match ever on it, and I know you guys have talked about it as well. The great myth of that, I think it is the best match ever, is that it wasn't one night's work. It wasn't that they were working a miracle. It was two characters that had already been on that path, and there had to be one match to create it. And you can even see Austin building it in as early as here. There's a point where he pushes Mero like off the apron onto the ramp, and like goes to like pose to the crowd, expecting the fans to boo that he's just in this horrible act to this heel. And he gets cheers. And he gets cheered like loud, and the cameras, it's that WWF thing. So the camera is on Mero, and the idea is you're a babyface, emote, reach through the screen so that Benno and Hamflett as kids are saying, come on, Mark, get up and get him. But all you can hear is the fans popping for Austin, hot dogging in the ring, and Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler spring into action, and they're already doing that thing where like, whoa, he's a baddie. So like Jim Ross goes like, Austin is relentless, and he's doing it alone. And then Jerry Lawler has a great couple of lines. He says, Austin is the guy that shoots at the weapons wagon. He's the one that adds to the straw that breaks the camel's back. He's doing everything he can to be like, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. But you can already feel that the wave of momentum is that it's so exciting, isn't it? It's so cool to watch. You know, when you said about when the NWO forming and you're watching 96 WWF and going, you don't realize how much shit's about to hit the fan, lads. That is true. But then you're watching this Austin going, you don't realize how much fucking money you're going to make with this guy. It's so exciting to watch it all forming bit by bit, isn't it?
Let me just pour water on that. I'm going to use the worst analogy perhaps in the history of this podcast. Might even delete it because it's going to anger half our audience. But it's like, I hate the cunt, but it's almost Trumpian. It's almost like, you know what makes Trump work? It's that he breaks the system, doesn't he? He kind of breaks like what people, he's saying what we want. He's not paid. The normal rules would say when you do that, you can't be the president. Austin, same thing. When you do that, you can't be the good guy. But he does it anyway. And people kind of gravitate towards it. Like, there's just some kind of similarity there. Hopefully not in real life as well. But, like, he's breaking the system. He is, like, for better or worse. Like, he's doing a lot of things in his matches, and it becomes, like, a babyface trait of him. And it's probably why Vince, ironically, drags his feet so long and kind of getting behind it. Because, like, well, but he's a heel, but what? Like, why are the fans cheering this? So clearly, like, the money is, I was like, it's like, no, the secret sources, the fans are kind of secretly sat at home, kind of the silent majority going, we don't necessarily want like Pretty Boy Shawn Michaels. What we actually want is somebody who, you know, says what they're going to do and does it. And that's very much Austin there. But just to be clear, I don't mean that as a compliment to Trump as I backtrack on myself. But yeah, I think there's something there. But you can see that early year, and like I say, for every attempt Mark Mero makes, he really does, like, you know, he's another one of those, like, you know, right bloke, right company, the company's at the wrong time. I think it's similar to the Sammy Vega thing. Although, you know, attitude there, I did get a bit of a kick out of him. There is some stuff he pulls out here. I said on, you know, when we talked about the click tag, there was stuff, you know, Kid was doing that other people weren't doing in 1994. Fast forward to 1996, Mark Mero's borrowing very much from that playbook, because like Kid, he's up and down to that top rope 4 or 5 different times, isn't he? Both in like his comeback and then in like the close and stretch here, like hitting dives that, like, you just didn't see other people do. Yeah. And like, you know, 11 and 12-year-old me sat at home going, fucking hell, not realizing, you know, he robbed that from Liger, he robbed that from this other guy, and that's a Lucha guy's finish. But anywho, to us, it's all fresh and it's all new, isn't it? It's like when Marty Jannetty would pull stuff out, and it stands out really good. There's a point like in the closing stretch where they try and bite off a little bit more they can chew, don't they? Where like Austin, again, it's strange to see, looks like he's going for a powerbomb, and it's reversed into like, I think Miro's trying to Rana him, and they're supposed to like spill over the top, but it takes them a few seconds to get back to the points and do it. But again, it's another one of those moments where I'm kind of cringing, thinking, oh God, that's Steve Austin. What about his neck? Really not realizing that he's actually fine. But like, they're trying stuff here, and you know, Miro was always coming up with extra creative stuff that, you know, yes, it become a bit more commonplace in 1996, but like, he was putting twists on it that was stuff you weren't seeing on North American TV, or at least the Fed's version of North American TV.
To analyze this match as if it was brand new and it just happened yesterday and we're just watching it, like, this is bad matchmaking ultimately rather than bad booking, because like the problem with the rise of Austin is that, like, Mero, as you say, that 1-2-3 Kid comparison is a great one, because the movement that Mero creates theoretically should be the sort of thing that you can imagine whoever's put this match together has pictured it in their head, and it's like, God, by the end, even though Mero's gotten beat, all the memories are going to be about Mero was flying here and flying there, and maybe they're thinking about him as the next Intercontinental Champion. But like, he does like a moonsault press from the ring to the floor, and it gets booed, because at this point the fans have started to like shift towards Austin. And it's the worst possible sort of experience it's the worst thing to greet a move like that in 1996. You should be getting oohs and ahs and thinking like we were, I guess, thinking like, well, this Mero, my God, look at the stuff he does. But instead, it's just the emotional connection has been built with Austin at this point that it's just not resonating the way it's meant to. Austin,
and when you do that juxtaposition as well, like, you know, Miro on his own merits, that works. But when you put him with Austin, like, if you've got 2 blokes in a ring and one of them does 4 cartwheels and then gets punched in the face, like, who'd you like more? It's funny, isn't it? You prefer the guy who just does the punch to the face, because, like, that's really like the setup for this match. I think you totally nailed it there. That's the mistake.
We did the Action Zone tag on the last Housekeeping, and you made that great observation that like more heel wins should be that. I think you said like pop of the balloon, where Diesel steps over the top with the boot, and it's like, tough shit, it's over. Like, that's kind of what happens here. Like, it's a bit Thief in the Night stuff from Austin, like holding the ropes as a counter so he can then does the chop block. And like in 1996, you may as well have shot a guy with a gun if you'd done a chop block. Do you remember how like devastating the first chop blocks were?
I was always gutted when he stopped doing it. I always liked that as Austin's like sneak attack. It was brilliant. There's comes a point, isn't it, when he just stops doing it?
It was cheating that wasn't cheating, wasn't it? It was cheating that was somehow legal. Like, he'd unlocked something. So chop block, stunner, and it's over. And like, it's quite abrupt. But I love how abrupt it was, because it was supposed to be. In their minds, the wrestlers have gone, Mero's going to be flashy, 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 but I'm a bit of a bastard and I win. But unfortunately, Steve Austin just happens to be getting over as a babyface. So the fans are quite pleased about it. And it doesn't, again, doesn't connect in a way you're supposed to see this like you did Diesel popping the balloon. And instead, what you've got, it's like some fans being like, yeah, good on you. Like, and it's just, it's telling something like there's a shot. I'm hoping you picked up on this as well. I think it's accidental, because I don't think it's what they would have intended. But you see Austin walk into the back. It's the backdrop of the In Your House set as the sort of scary ringmaster music plays. And it's a bit like Mankind. It's like, it's 1996 showing you what is eventually going to work. but it's like that the jigsaw pieces are scattered across the table rather than making the puzzle. Like every piece is on that table, but they just haven't slotted them into place to make the puzzle yet. You can't see the picture.
Yeah, the music, it feels like end credits in a film, doesn't it? In a little way. It's like, the first film where the sequel's about to come and you're going to see the real stuff in the second incarnation. Totally. And like you say, to those pieces, like even the stunner being obviously the rudimentary early version, there's no quick wham, is there? Not that there was ever a wham, but there was in all of our brains. Like it's just stunner, isn't it? It's out of nowhere, but it's actually a little bit more heelish, isn't it? That it is, kind of a move, it's pulled out of nowhere rather than
Mero and Brett were the ones that used to sell the neck and the throat damage. It was never a knockout with like Brett would always want to sell it as like he has potentially like sort of disarmed me here and I can't attack because I cannot breathe. That's how, and my jaw might be broken. It's all stuff around the neck and the throat and the jaw. And Mero does that because it wasn't yet like it's a knockout, really, isn't it? That's what the stunner is. But in the early days, they were trying to figure out. It was like a bit tied to the Stone Cold like serial killer element. They were trying to like keep it. Did you, as well? Sorry, I'm flying all over the place. Austin, it's quite exciting, isn't it? It's did you see as he leaves the ring, he does like 3-1-6 with his hands? Did you catch that?
Does he?
It's like he goes like he gets the two hands up. I don't know if I can get them both on camera here. So he goes like 3, 1. Oh, he goes like 3 and then 10 and then 6 to add up to 16. Like so for 316, it's like
it's like a lot of work. That it's not quite the end of your hand signal.
Well, this is it, right? One of these days, mate, your fingers are going to get you very over, but just replace it with 2 instead of 16. Like he's so close to get to put it all together. Yeah, but it's just another little weird curio from the time.
But that's what's exciting about it, isn't it? Seeing that happen in real time. Like I say, the signs are there earlier than you'd think. Brilliant stuff. But yeah, we'll have more of him and better music coming as well as a kick and a wham to go along with it. But it's fun to see like this rudimentary Steve, as much as it's unfortunate for our mate Mark Mero isn't too long for this world after this one. But one thing we did mention in the match, it kind of obviously segues into the next matches, and we've got a couple of segments before that. But yeah, we do get Marlena appearing and given even like the gold envelope to commentary, which they never really draw much attention to, or if I'm right, don't explain. When it comes to kind of I forgot about it by the time it got to the end of the Undertaker Goldust match. It's just a bit weird, that.
It's a rare bit of production. It's a gaff almost from WWE. This and they're normally very good at this because so the usher gives the gold envelope or leaves the message with Vince, who wants to give it to Jerry Lawler because he doesn't want to have it. But that's, that botch you were talking about, the stun gun botch where they kind of clumsily fall over the floor. It's as if the wrestlers haven't slowed down enough for them to focus on the Marlena thing instead.
They've missed
so we as viewers, we can't focus on one thing or another. And I wonder if it's called on the flight. They just decide to drop it because they realize, we've not really got the message across here. So let's drop that element from the Goldust match and pick it up another time or something. Because none of it really, you're not given like a split screen. I don't think it's darting between the two subjects and then Marlena's gone. So it's like, it's all very strange. It's
blinking, you miss it. Stuff almost feels like it was like there was a subsequent angle that was edited out, but
well, because obviously you've got Mero and Goldust at SummerSlam, haven't you? So it was probably something to do with, remember when Mankind is starting saying that Sable was his mommy? You wonder if all those things are supposed to be tied together, but it's just a bit busy.
There'll be a Bruce Pritchard podcast out there which explains. Don't listen to that, listen to us instead. Well, before we get to that match, we do get a segment with Bob Backlund campaigning for president in the crowd. I literally wrote on my notes, fuck off. Like, this is 19... If the last 2 segments were like, ooh, the Attitude Era was coming, Bob Backlund appearing back on screen, went, oh yeah, we're still in 1996. Damn it. We're not there yet. Shit, what did you ever get any entertainment out of Bob Backlund? I never did. Not as a babyface, not as a heel, not ironically. None of it.
I kind of got it as a bit of a, like... I liked it as sort of cheering for the new generation of Bret the Hitman Hart. Come on, Benno. Bob Backlund was 45 years old. You and I both know that is ancient. Like, you need to get the old guard out the way. You need to get to your young guys like your CM Punks and your John Cena's. You can't be sticking with the 45-year-old Bob Backlund.
And they talked about his title run like it was like ancient history, like it happened 30 odd years ago. It was like 7 maybe years ago, 8 years ago. Really wasn't that fucking long, but anyway, time. It's a whole thing. But yeah, we also have a hype video.
Let's catch that quickly. Come on, let's while we're on that, let's in tribute to our good friend Matty Edwards here. If Bob Backlund was telling the Mr. Backlund story now about when he won the title in 1994, having lost it in 1983 to the Iron Sheik. I've got my dates right there. That's 11 years, isn't it? We would be
11,
referring. That's fine. Yeah, we would be referring to a wrestler from 2014. So we would be referring to, who's that? Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. There you go. So just for context, basically, Arnold Skolan throwing in the towel is the same amount of time as Seth Rollins turning on the Shield as it is today.
Honest to God, there you go. Time is a very, very different moving thing at this point in life. But yeah, speaking of which, we have a bit of a hype video there for the Smoking Guns and Sean and Ahmed on Raw, which I think we can reveal will be the match on the next, or is it on the next Housekeeping? Or will we at least talking about that Raw on the next Housekeeping? But I like the setup for this. That it's Sean and Ahmed gave them shots at their belts, so they get a shot at the Guns belts. I don't know what they would have, obviously would have done otherwise, but I think it makes sense as a story going into since that interesting Raw we're going to get into.
Good stuff, isn't it? I like this as well. Like the chaps with all the straps from last year is making a bit of a comeback with Ahmed in the Diesel role, isn't it? I'm into it.
Like it very much. But yeah, good little video package we have there. But yep, that takes us into the next match, which was, like I say, alluded to in the previous one, and that is the Undertaker and Goldust. Undertaker, by the way, who's referred to as Vince as the WWF's most phenomenal athlete. Eat heart out, AJ Styles. 20 odd years later, but there we go. But yeah, obviously we kind of talked the background, didn't we, on the free for all, which is this summer of '96 for Undertaker is taken up by Mankind and Goldust, and obviously them both, as we're going to get into in the match, interjecting each other in each other's business, and obviously that wider story being taken told with Mankind and Goldust here. But yeah, rematch of the In Your House 8 Beware of Dog match. Did we miss any more of the history in the free for all, Michael?
No, not really. Other than, Goldust not being afraid, but maybe he should be because Christ almighty, Steve Austin didn't have any knee braces on, but Goldust had an absolutely massive one under that gold gear, didn't he? Like if you think of that and the Warrior match from the earliest year, Dustin was working hurt, wasn't he? You could tell he was in one of his money years because he was gutting it out like.
Yeah, that's it. You don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, so you gotta stay on the road, brother, and keep going. He does his best here, but I don't know. I can't. It's Undertaker in 1996, and Mankind isn't directly in the opposite side of the ring, so there's always going to be a limited level of enjoyment for me. And I think because of that Goldust situation, there's just a lot of stalling here, isn't there? In the early stages, Goldust using the ref as a shield and stuff. They kind of brawl to the outside. Taker takes like the big bump on the steps that does get a bit of a reaction. He's going in arse first. He kind of tries to pick up the steps himself. Marlena gets in the middle, which of course gets a bit of a pop from the crowd because they want to see Undertaker take her out because that's 1996 for you. But yeah, that kind of leads to a Goldust thumb in the eye and a heat of an extent, but I don't know. It kind of gets going here at this point of the match, but it's a very, very slow start for this one for me.
Yeah, it's as if they get to work and on the board backstage, it's got like take a Goldust and it says, I don't know, 14, 15 minutes or something. And they're thinking, we can get there. And I've watched this match. I've watched it more than once. I know I've watched this match at least twice in my life. And likewise, the Beware of Dog one. And I've watched it to review it and take some notes. I cannot tell you how these men get past 10 minutes doing nothing. It's wizardry. It's wizardry how the time passes because, it feels longer when you're watching it, but they do so little. There's just not a lot that really happens between them. And there's no, the thing with these two is I understand why you would book it, but I don't ever really feel because of the shadow of Mankind. And obviously it is the finish. You never quite feel like the tension exists between these two, do you? It's all like Undertaker selling weak is interesting. He's lost 2 pay-per-view matches in a row. Like, has that ever happened before? Probably not. Like the Undertaker is flagging and flailing for the first time, but Mankind's the clear and present danger, not Goldust. And this, like, I don't want to step on your dick before you recap it, but obviously the big surprise that's about to come in getting to that big surprise and maybe the struggle with the execution of it, the Undertaker hitting that tombstone and then taking an age to go for the pin on Goldust doesn't feel like they're stalling for time because the running's getting botched. It feels like they're just taking ages because everything takes ages in this match.
Yeah.
It's all about waiting and waiting and waiting. Oh, and by the way, the microphone picks up Paul Bearer trying to get the fans to start a rest in peace chant, which I thought was quite funny as well. Like you hear rest in peace, and then you hear the fans start a chant afterwards. That's quite cute as well. But
proper British Indies shall I type stuff, isn't it? Like family show.
Shall I get
them clapping? Yeah, you know, Vince was hating that on commentary. You're right though. Like I think the way they get them again, the way they fill the time, it's just with nonsense. It's with going back out to the outside and more brawl and using the steps again. Goldust taking, the ring pad off, like all just little things like that, just to kind of create a bit of heat that's not really there. And maybe it is the fact that we're watching it with 2025 eyes and we know the finish is coming, but it does almost feel like everyone's just waiting for Mankind to inject himself and for something a bit more interesting to happen than what's happening in the ring. You're totally right to jump to that because there just isn't much before it. Bit of an Undertaker comeback. Obviously, he hits he goes for the tombstone a couple of times before he eventually hits it. But it's all set up for this finish, which I'm dying to get into because, like, one, I think Mankind just misses his cue just a little bit, doesn't he? Because the ref has to slow his count on the tombstone. But two, this is very much an Ultimate Warrior and WCW thing a couple of years later. Like, I feel like, not only having one trapdoor in the ring, but having two feels like it's a recipe for disaster for some of the lads up and down the card. Davey could have made his mint here rather than waiting till WCW to pretend that was the reason he got injured and not the years of doing drugs and bumps and all that stuff. But I feel like, firstly, I'll let you go into it, but Mankind's that touch late, although it is sold well, and then secondly, it feels like 6 million years while Mankind is hovering over the hole, waiting for I feel like Undertaker under the ring to find his way back through. I feel like it must have just been dark under the ring this night.
Yeah, I want to praise the idea on paper before I bury it in execution. Ultimately, I love the idea that it's a sequel to the Mankind coming out of the casket finish, and this idea that Mankind is almost on a level playing field with the Undertaker because he too can do a bit of that shape shifting. Oh, Mankind appears from nowhere, the Undertaker appears from nowhere. They're quite alike in that regard. So it's a bit of a sequel because if you remember, obviously we saw the Undertaker pull Diesel down under the ring, and now it's like what Mankind does under the ring stuff as well. He's just as dangerous as the Undertaker. So that's quite a nice bit of symmetry, and then to immediately pair that off by the Undertaker coming out the other side of the ring. And it's like, yeah, but I'm still better than you at this sort of stuff, Mankind. You might think you're as good a magic powers wrestler as I am, but you're not. Like, I really like that sort of like one-upsmanship between the two. It brings a bit of reality to this feud that is otherwise sort of like entrenched in mystery and drama and violence and obviously where it ends on this pay-per-view feeds into SummerSlam. So I like that. I think if you'd have mapped that out on paper, you thought, this is brilliant. We've got this. We're cooking here. This is going in the complete right direction. But yeah, as you say, it's one thing for the Undertaker. It's taken age to crawl under the ring, to find the corner, to pour his way up and to get Mankind and the smoke and the lights and the gongs and all that. It's quite another for the Mankind character to cut through the ring with a knife and that not be part of the act. Like, I would have bought Mankind being a scary guy carrying around a knife.
He seems like a knife guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a knife guy. Mankind's a knife guy. But there's such a tragic moment where the referee has to fuck out the ring. Just kick it out the ring with his foot. You cannot miss it. Like, you cannot avoid the referee just kicking the little Swiss Army knife out the ring. And it's as if Mankind's supposed to have clawed through with a mandible claw or something. Like, it really sort of takes away from the fear of it because you're obviously not supposed to have seen that. Maybe like Mankind's nearly missed his cue because he can't get through the canvas or something. And
probably
the knife's not working.
Yeah, he's trying to punch through or something like that.
But it should have worked and it didn't. But then the brawl is so hot that because we to cut forward a bit, it goes to the commentators, doesn't it? Because the brawl has gone to the back and the commentators are left a bit shell shocked. And at this point, I'm popping because those Vancouver fans have managed to get a Burger King crown on Jerry Lawler's head.
Yeah,
and it almost sort of like pierces the seriousness with how funny this was. But then immediately to go to the boiler room next, like, I don't think I cared what a boiler room was when I was 11. I just knew that this was the dark room.
I had no idea. Didn't know what it was.
Clue, man. Nah. I knew it was a grim place I didn't want to be. So I guess like mission accomplished ahead of SummerSlam.
Exactly. It works. And it's good foreshadowing for the match. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. I'd forgotten this element of it that, they can't. It makes sense that, Undertaker would take Mankind to the back and then they obviously keep fighting. And obviously it's punctuated, isn't it, at the end of the show as well? It all ties together.
And speaking of all tying together, Benno, do you notice who are missing for our 6-man main event?
Oh,
the Mounties. And why? Because they're saying in commentary, we've sent as many staff as we can backstage to try and separate the Undertaker and Mankind.
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
The Mounties are gone. The Mounties are gone for the main event because obviously you needed everybody, all hands on deck to try and figure out the Undertaker Mankind problem, including our Royal Canadian Mounted Police themselves.
That's how important it is. I love it. Very well done. Well, before we get to the little brawl with Taker and Mankind backstage, that is where we get the. I suppose it's not selling SummerSlam the best. The little Olympics parody, but it feels very Benno and Hamflett. This we have obviously we have Ahmed barreling through the hurdles. We have Austin on the shot put. We have Shawn Michaels does the high jump, doesn't he? In this one, we got the what you call it, the 1, 2, 3, the podium with Goldust and tapping Triple H on the arse up there as well. It's one of those ones. It's a bit like the video game shoots where it's like it doesn't really make sense that like if these were real people that they'd be in this situation in the gear and would be so willing to stand next to each other and film this stuff. But also it's very campy 1996. Cool to see the characters somewhere else. And yeah, of course Ahmed did go right through the hurdles. Of course Shawn would be good at high jump. It all makes sense. And
the one thing again that sticks out about like the product of the time is that, 6 months, 8 months later, like at the latest, Steve Austin's saying no to this, isn't he? Like it is weird seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin doing yuck comedy.
Yeah,
he's a shot putter, and then they're at the podium fighting, and he's part of just these like cartoon wrestlers just brawling and throwing worked punches. In 6 months' time, he's noping that, isn't he? There's absolutely no way he does something as daft as this. He needs to protect the character. Like you're not seeing the Undertaker throwing a javelin here, are you? Do you know what I mean?
True.
Like, Austin would get that privilege shortly after this.
What is the kayfabe explanation? Did you have one that you explained to yourself as a kid? Oh, they're just they are really fighting each other, but they were told there was a match, or I don't know, they were paid enough money to pretend to hit each other. It's AI. Did we have AI back then? I guess not.
I think it extends to how I just accepted. And it was Shawn Michaels that burst this bubble. Do you remember how, like, until late '96, wrestlers would come out and do interviews and commentary in their wrestling gear, and then one time, like Shawn, because it was Shawn in '96 when Brett was back, and it was like, I don't know why a lot of things happen, Vince. I don't know why, for example, your supposed hero Bret the Hitman Hart would do commentary in his wrestling gear, and I was just like, and I looked at Shawn, and Shawn's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm like, fucking hell, he's right. I just imagine it's a bit like how at a weekend your teachers would just pull the plug out and they wouldn't exist until Monday morning, until you were underage drinking. And the pub you went to as a 16-year-old and you saw one of your teachers. What are they doing in the outside world? It's a bit like that. Like wrestlers had to be doing filming these adverts in their gear because that's all they were. They were performers in these clothes. You never saw them in there. Hulk Hogan only wore his trousers at WrestleMania 9 because he'd finished wrestling. Like that kind of logic that made sense in my mind. Like same thing here. They were allowed to wear that because they were with the other wrestlers, so they were at work.
I had that same experience. Mine wasn't going to the pub, so Mr. Johnson, my teacher in primary school in the local Sainsbury's, and I got really embarrassed and ran away because it was just like, this is just weird and I don't understand it. Makes no sense. He's not wearing his work clothes. What is going on?
Crossing the streams, isn't it? You can't do it.
Yeah. It's like, if Shawn Michaels had turned up at Goodison Park, I'd expect him to be wearing full gear. I think it would be the only way. It's the only way that man existed to me in 1996. Apart from when he put the lovely jean jacket on, obviously.
As opposed to, obviously, the Blackburn Rovers, of which he was a massive fan of.
Of course, yeah. Remember when, speaking of that, actually, I guess he did turn up in his street clothes when he did Live and Kicking on a Saturday afternoon. Remember when Razor didn't? I think he was in WCW by that point and he just turned up full gear. He had like the Lone Wolf NWO gear on with like the paint on, and he was just out topless, just sat there on the couch. It's like, do you not bring any other clothes in the mate? So they covered in beer. Like, what's going on? Like, at that point, it was like, all right, it's 1998 now. I think we need to get with the program, Scott.
You're so aware when a wrestler appears in gear on a TV show how much body they've got on display, aren't you? Like, I don't mind sharing this on Benno and Hamflett because I've shared it. I've shared it on our podcast before at WhatCulture. I have a thing. I'm not much of a beach or a pool holiday person because I have a real thing for I don't like other people's bodies. It's I don't know what it is. Like, I'm obviously some sort of old prude. There must be a bit of William Regal in me or something. Other people's skin a certain distance away from me. I can't. T-shirts are fine. Like, I've got the Onslow from Keeping Up Appearances tan. You know, it goes white there. Like, but anything else like that, it's people, put your top on, put your T-shirt back on. You know, the people that walk out in the summer to Tesco's and they've not got the top on. How man, sort it out. And you're never more aware of that when you see a wrestler on like a talk show in the gear. There's so much flesh on display, and it's like, it's the color palette of the screen is wrong because there's just so much skin.
I literally see it in a naked person.
And yet in a wrestling ring, as much as you like I want as much body as possible. I want as many biceps as I can see. But like, it's just not, I felt like that in the real world.
Like, I keep bringing it up. I don't know why I'm in the mood today. Maybe some kind of anniversary. But like, when I was wrestling, and like, it just, obviously I would not go out in those trunks, and I didn't have the body to go out in the trunks that I was wearing, to be honest, even in wrestling. So maybe I should have had a little bit more shame. But there was something about that. It was like, the lights are on, music is playing, and I'm in a ring, so it's okay. Like, if they turned the house lights off and like the music stopped and it just stopped, it'd be like, what, you know, like those dreams you'd have where you're in school and you'd be like in your pajamas, or you'd be naked or something like that. It'd be like that. I'd be like, oh shit, I'd be covering myself up. But something about it felt okay because there was, like I say,
I know,
because there was a crowd there, not the other way around. I should have been afraid because there was a crowd there.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I have shared hotel rooms with best friends on stag do's, on weekends away, on all that sort of thing. And I have a more intimate relationship with you, having watched your work on YouTube, than I do them.
Sorry.
Like, it's absolutely fine. And why? Because I watched it and never once thought, where's my mate Benno from the podcast and his keks? I didn't think that once. Like, I watched Benson Richards like work in the territories. That's what I saw. It's different. It's different brain chemistry. If we did this podcast, and look, it's hot in the UK at the moment, but I accept that it's probably warm where you are. If you just turned up and you were like, before we start, I know this is a bit awkward, but I'm gonna have to work this one topless because it is sweltering. I'll be like, Benno, mate, that's disgusting. Turn your camera off. I have watched you
get your nips off screen
in your pants with your CM Punk wrist tape, throwing that gorgeous, by the way, single leg drop kick. And I haven't thought a thing about it. Not a thing about it. There's Benno. There he is, doing the Bushwhacker Luke spot in a battle royal. Absolutely fine. But yeah, if you were doing it, if the camera fell off your table and I saw that you were just in some skimpies because it was too hot below your desk, I'd need to go and be sick. I'd need to like turn the podcast off. But as a wrestler, totally fine.
Well, joke's on you, mate. I record all podcasts in my underwear, but yeah, luckily the camera only goes shoulder and up. But speaking of great gear, and yeah, I apologize for anybody who's seen my nipples or other parts of my body that you definitely didn't need to see. I was in better shape.
Not having it, man. You were a hell of a hand.
I'll take it, mate. I'll take it. I'm not sure many would agree, but I will take it. But yeah, speaking of great gear, speaking of hell of a hands, we go to our main event here. We have another recap, don't we, of the build, kind of going over a lot of the same stuff, isn't it, from the free for all? Again, a repetition of the Cornette threat and all of that stuff. But I think what it really leads to, and I think this is almost counts as part of like the match analysis for me, is the promo you mentioned earlier with Doc Hendricks stood by with Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, Psycho Sid, and my God, like this is one of those promos where it's like, you know what, everyone's got a job. You know, Shawn knows his role here, Ahmed knows his role, and Sid knows his role is to be the wacky third mate. They play it up really well, and yeah, I remember when we recapped this for the Shawn podcast that they over on GRAPPL. It gave me a lot of joy, and I imagine it gave young Michael Hamflett some joy as we got ready for this evening.
I've watched so much Sid. I know that like every wrestler, he's actually got a few shortcuts and a thing that he repeats. But maybe that's the magic of Sid, is that every time he does it, I feel like it's the first time. Because as you say, Shawn is the kind of as he is in everything, he's the general here. Ahmed, almost like the less Ahmed made sense, the better, because that was the Ahmed Johnson appeal. Chaos, like just who knows what's going on with Ahmed. Sid, friggin', like these staples that you would go to. 6-man enter, only 3 survive. And then he's like, because the games we play, my friend. He would lean on those cliches all the time. Like it was as if you would imagine, right? You know how when you see the shots of Gorilla and there'll be a piece of paper saying, don't go near the Spanish announce table. Like that's for the main event. Or like,
sure,
when the agent will be like, don't work the knee because that's getting used in the main event or whatever.
Yeah.
You would think in WWE, like, especially as we head towards the second half of the year, wrestlers would be told, don't use the word survive. right? Don't use the word survive. Don't use the word rumble, because we're a branding company and those words are for these shows, right? Say, not Sid, the amount of times they were like, the game is survival, my friend. And it's like, is it November? No, but it's Sid. He can just do it. Like, I just love that, like, Sid would call it outside the lines and who was going to stop him. I've got a lot to say about Sid in this match, but I feel like we need to break it down in the ways in which we put him over, because from the off, this man. And again, let us contrast this to the Camp Cornette promo earlier in the night. There are two men auditioning to be WWE champion. Who are you strapping up after this?
I don't know if I'd still go that direction, but maybe now I would. But yeah, he's putting the work in. But yeah, he's great, but to name check him as well. I think Ahmed is just, there's just so much charisma coming out the screen, isn't there? It's just cool that somebody as intense as him is willing to put up with Shawn Michaels, is willing to put up with Sid and all of his nonsense. Like there's kind of I suppose it's cool, calm charisma next to Sid, but he's got his own kind of wackiness. He's got his own kind of screen breakingness about him, hasn't he? Here as well. And it's I wish we got more of this. Yes, that's right.
I'll have that one. And it's like, why not? Because you're Ahmed. I love that, man.
He probably doesn't know any better. Probably just thinks that's what the belt looks like. No one's ever taught him that's not supposed to be the one, and until they have a word with him. But I love this combination. Like Sid, he adds like that extra flavour to it. But just the Sid and Ahmed knocking around together, I would have taken a buddy cop film out of it. And again, I'm looking forward to getting into that Raw. But they get separated far too soon for me. I would have liked that friendship to continue a long way past this summer. But speaking of the friendship. I've never seen Sean so altruistic and so nice. He's the first out here, mate. He's mega over in Canada too, which is interesting because obviously it's 1996 and there aren't those wounds yet. But it's a wonderful thing to see. And maybe he's thinking, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get the biggest pop. But yeah, quite an interesting choice here. We'll get into the gear. We'll get into the guardrail collapses and the crowd too here. But yeah, quite an interesting one to see him leading the way.
Right, set your phone alarm, get yourself to bed, and then just let yourself wake up in the morning when I've finally finished talking about the following 3 minutes of television, because this is fucking pro wrestling, Benno. Shawn Michaels, and I'm normally not a big fan of black and white striped things, but Shawn Michaels, as usual, is the rule-proven exception.
It works so well.
Incredible in this attire, like an amalgamation of all of his things, just a flash of colours and mirrors and light and everything. Jose can't even ruin the vibe like he normally would. The guardrail coming down, like you say, the frenzy that people have got to get to Shawn Michaels is like, what a spot that is. Like, you couldn't have planned for that to go any better if you were trying to work it, because there's such a frenzied energy, and he does like feel like a pop star almost. It's that kind of, it's like Beatlemania sort of thing, isn't it? With apologies to your host city there, but like that, just like, I just want to touch him. I just want to get near him. It's amazing. It's amazing. They all have three very distinct, different type of babyface energy. So for Shawn, it's just love. It's just the love of the guy, of the man. Like, it's for the women, it's obviously like they're like reaching and pouring for him. It's like a sexual thing, but for everybody in the building, it's love. It's real love. For Ahmed Johnson, it's this brand new. They're going with, and you forget this now, but they're going with People's Champion, aren't they? He's holding the People's Championship, the Goldust title. He's wearing the T-shirt with this spray paint job of the three baby faces on it. And it's like, that's not one you can buy. That's something that Ahmed's had made, because it's like,
you just felt that strongly about it.
Yeah, we're the three best guys. We're the super friends. We're going to kick ass. And like the fans are just like glowing seeing Ahmed Johnson come out. It's like, what can be possibly better? And then, mother fucking hell, right? There is, what have we got now? There is Steve Austin. I'm using my hands for the people that listen on the audio. There is Steve Austin coming out to save Mankind in 1998 over. There is Liv Morgan when she returns from injury in 2026 over. And then there is motherfucking Psycho Sid at International Incident over. Because Jesus Christ, he is walking out and he's doing that little psycho dance that you would do where he like bounces on the spot and the sweat is coming off him. And he just, even he can't believe it. He looks around, that pop, right? It hits him and he reacts to it, and it's like, the man is here, and he believes it, because he is. What on earth, from the moment he arrives to every second in this match when he's not in the ring, what is this relationship between Vancouver and Psycho Sid? You have to watch this. You have to see this to believe it. This is the moment that Vader loses that spot. This is the moment.
It's funny because it's almost like it feels like the crowd turning at Survivor Series and going with Sid feels like, oh, that's a bit out of nowhere. I think it's the same fans who were, like you were saying earlier and like we were saying, who were just desperate to cheer Sid for a very long time, and they've been given permission here, and they don't like that permission being taken away. Like that's exactly what that is, I think, because like I say, it's almost like you wasted the whole
life. I need to take my shirt off and swing it around my head. I just I'm watching this back thinking, I'm hooked. I'm getting the goosebumps now, Benno. This is the match is great and it's very long, but you can skip it for me at this point because this is wrestling. This is where I would argue that like the bullshit is more important, because I just I'm hooked on it. I'm like, this is like an adrenaline boost 30 years later. He's the man. He is the man.
This is kind of like, it's almost like to a point what the Fed were getting right last year, where it was just like super over babyfaces that everybody liked and everybody wanted to cheer and have a good time. Like that party of seeing like that murderer's row babyfaces come out, including Jey Uso, which I'll only say on this podcast and not on the other podcasts that I host. Like that's what this feels like for this time, for 1996, for this light in a bottle, for these hardcore Vancouver fans, for these fans who are like us, invested in the product in 1996. It's not their fault there's not more of them, but the ones that are there love these guys. The ones that are there, and this is always my rallying cry for Shawn in 96, fucking love Shawn Michaels, but they also happen to fucking love Ahmed Johnson and fucking love Sid. And like you say, with the match itself, it bleeds into the match because it's a very, I don't even know how to break this down, because it's a very interestingly structured match in that it feels like the babyface shine just goes on forever. It almost feels like they've read this crowd. They've all enjoyed the reactions they got on the entrance, and it's almost like a Shawn thing where it's like, you know what, let's just ride this. Let's just do as much, before we get to the heat, let's do as much babyface stuff as we can, because it's like, it feels like it might not be quite 15 minutes, but it feels like 15 minutes of this match is just Ahmed, Sid, and Shawn having their way with the heels, and there's little momentum changes and stuff we can get into, and little back and forths and little moments for, especially for Owen and Davey in there, and Vader doing the cutoffs, but it constantly just wangles its way back round to the babyfaces are on top again, because they are the three mega babyface, they are the super friends, they are like, who can compare like to these three together when they're on, and they're on for a very long stretch of this match.
You're totally right. It's a great observation, because I've got like the details I wanted to hit in my notes, but I never really put it together that it takes a long time before the heels truly get heat on any of them, because you would
tease a lot.
Yeah, like Shawn, when he starts, Shawn Michaels starting a tag match is just some of the most beautiful pro wrestling you're ever going to watch, isn't it? That hot start that he loves, where he's constantly moving and he hits, like he sends Vader at the floor with a crossbody, but then he follows immediately with a plancher, and then like he hits the guardrail, and that theoretically would be the point at which Vader would take over, because Shawn's hit the guardrail. But the fans are so thirsty for Sid that the wrestlers almost can't avoid it, and it's as if Shawn has had to whisper to Vader, hey, you're gonna have to let me come back here and tag Sid. Like, it's as if they've called something on the fly, where Shawn wants to like not diffuse the Sid reaction, but almost like let the fans get some of the Sid out of the system so they can get back to the match they were going to have. So like Shawn comes back on Vader well earlier than you would have imagined. Then he tags Sid. The two of them do that chest bump they were doing. I'm thinking, well, who needs the NWO? I've got Shawn and Sid. And then like Shawn just hits, Sid just hits his like rubbish punches, but nobody cares. Like Owen and Bulldog do those really amazing running bumps that they take off the Sid punches. They couldn't be doing, and they must be loving it, because they can tell that this is going, like, let's be honest, the heel babyface comparison, the heels kind of look like chumps compared to the babyfaces here, don't they? It's got that 1995 thing where it's like there's a clear, other than Vader, there's a clear like kind of pecking order. But Bulldog and Owen just bump around for Sid's pumps. And then again, you think, right, well, are we going to get back to Sid and to Shawn and Vader? Well, we can't, because now the fans are desperate for Ahmed to get in. So Sid's like doing the pointing, and do you want him? Do you want Ahmed? And the fans are, yeah, we want Ahmed. So then Ahmed comes in, and you still can't get back to Shawn because Ahmed's reeling off the most violent triple German you've ever seen in your life.
It's horrible, that.
Is it like, is he doing it to Bulldog? And it's like, Owen, you're coming with me. We're going. Like, he's just like chucking him around. He does his the elbow drop where he just screams mid-air, like that for no reason. And the fact is just, Ahmed stands up and his tights are already 3/4 up his arse because he's been moving so much. And like, is it the that's right, before they finally get back to it's Shawn and Vader, they get a bit of heat on. Is it like where Ahmed like Does he catch Vader on a stinger splash and slam him?
Yeah, he feels like he calls that as an audible slam. Like it's just like it's like, oh, I'm gonna. He's picturing what he did with Yoko at Survivor Series '95 and thinking, fuck it, you're the next world title challenger, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna body slam you, and he just does it. You can tell Leon's not up for it at all. He doesn't post. He doesn't like help Ahmed. To be honest, it's a shoot body slam for the most part. Like it's just your Ahmed deciding he's doing something in the moment. Like that's exactly what it feels like. Because again, it feels like in the moment they've just decided we're going to elongate this. Sid's going to do a little. Maybe it's not Sean calling the shots. Maybe it truly is Sid. He's having too good a time. He's like, oh yeah, go on, Ahmed, you have a go. You do some stuff. You know some moves, and they just roll with it. And to the part, like you say, I had that same note. Owen and Davey. And to his credit, Davey are great. Like they make Sid and Ahmed look like $1 million because they are. They're doing the thing you say that like Steve Austin gets out of his game, just rolling around, like just creating all that movement and making everything look like $1 million. Because I guess they know where the bread's buttered as well.
There's and this is not one that our friends from a certain other podcast would like to hear, considering that we're in Vancouver in Canada. But there is a very light "We want Brett" chant at a point when the heels take over. And then it just gets shouted down by "We want Sid" chant instead. And it's like, it's Canada's new Hall of Famer, Psycho Sid, all along. And I think it's when they're actually talking about how these bloody awful Hart family members, apart from Brett, of course, because basically they've turned the rest of the family heel on television at this point. So Brett's the only likable one. But then, yeah, it's just who needs the hitman, apparently, because Canada's got Sid.
And I was going to say, to that point, it's like, again, where this match is structurally a bit weird, like say with the long shine, like say there's multiple cutoffs as well, which is, not completely unique, but it feels like there's multiple comebacks because again, it feels like audibles are called. Like the first thing kind of happens on Sid, who's not great at trying to sell because it almost feels like he's like, I don't fancy this. Go on, Sean, you take it. Because like there's a hot tag to Sean, who then himself gets cut off, and obviously, that's where the heels bread is buttered, obviously Owen using the casts and kind of all that stuff. The crowd, they are like, bear in mind, while the structure's a little bit all over the place, they are whipping this crowd into a frenzy. Because Sean just being underneath, they won't want that. They want to see Sean make this comeback, which he does. But like I say, there's 3 or 4 of them because like there's a hot tag to come. I'm sure you've got like notes in the middle there, but like there's a fake hot tag for Ahmed before a real hot tag for Sid, before another actual hot tag to Sean later on. But like I think the meat of the match is this center bit where it's Sean kind of like calling traffic and Sean kind of slowing it down a little bit, but making that baying crowd want more of what they got in the 15 minutes before.
It's funny you mentioned slowing it down because Shawn Michaels is the only person that can slow it down by speeding it up, isn't he?
It's funny totally.
He takes that like unbelievable bump off an Irish whip by Vader, and that's the point at which he's like quote unquote slowing it down, and the man's 100 miles an hour flinging himself out the ring to make Vader look powerful. Sean's the fucking best at this period of time, isn't he? Like he's
doing more for Vader there than Vader's doing for himself. That's all him.
God 100%. Damn it. So much so because as well, I had a funny bring up earlier on about the promo when he kind of looks like he stinks because Sean like looks like he's. I think Vader puts this like submission hold around Sean's neck, and nothing really happens for a minute. And the face Sean is pulling looks like it's because he's near the mask and the mask stinks, not that he's selling. Like, what body part is Vader working? He's not. It's not the neck. It's not like a body. Is he like trying to tighten his shoulders? It's nothing of anything, is it?
It's really kind of the Yoko nerve hole, but not really, isn't it? It's like without at least that plausible deniability. Is that the moment where Sid just gets in the ring? Because I feel like Sean must have called that audible. Sean was like, "Fuck this, Sid, just get in." Because Sid just comes in randomly and it's a leg drop. And it's just like, hey, what? What's that got to do with any of the rest of this match? And the commentary tries to cover it, don't they? By going, the heels have been cheating all match, so I guess you got to get even, however you can get even. It's so strange. What a weird sequence.
It's like, it's the one point in the match, and I wouldn't even say it lags because the fans are so hot, but like Vader just holds that. I don't even know how to describe it, but he just holds onto it for ages and ages to the point where they're both stood back to their feet. And then there's a spot where like Sean finally breaks out, and before Sean can make his own comeback, Ahmed just appears and just trucks Vader again.
Exactly.
And that's what like, and he's just like, again, like you say, Sid and Ahmed will just, you can probably say Sean going, if you come in, you're going to get a massive pop. And then why, if you're the wrestler, would you not want some of that? So you're just like, like the wrestlers are so thirsty for it because they're getting so much. They're greedy, but the fans seem to not get bored of giving them it back. You're right. It's such a unique, like it's a brilliant match. This, by the way, but it's not like many other 6-man matches. I mean, hypothetically, let's just say me and you were going to sit together one day, I don't know when, and like watch, for example, the Bash at the Beach 6-man main event. Like, it's nothing like this. Like, it is nothing. It's a different beast entirely, isn't it? It's at least that match follows some of the more traditional things that you would expect from a multi-man. This just goes off in 500 different directions.
Yeah, and maybe that's by design. Maybe that is like, hold my beer kind of a moment from Sean and the lads there. But yeah, they do so much. Like I say, it's hard to recap it. Like I said, mentioned before, we get they get the Ahmed hot tag, which turns out to, obviously it's a bit awkward because Vader's already in the ring, and you get that that normal, the ref only saw one tag, he didn't see the other, and Ahmed's got to get back out again. But it doesn't really mean much because it's about 10 seconds later when Sid gets the real hot tag, and then he's just like, again, you could tell me it's a shoot. Like he chokeslams all 3 heels, doesn't he? He's a house on fire. You get a glorious moment, I'm sure you punch in the air at, and Sid and Ahmed doing a double clothesline together. That's the double clothesline I want, not MJF and Adam Cole at Wembley. This is the proper stuff. And obviously that allows Sean to kind of get back involved and do like the rocket launcher and be flying around. And like, again, Sean's kind of tapped into, I feel like there's always like that undercurrent of this is the WWF, it's the big man company. And I almost feel like Sean kind of flies in the face of that, of, what he's good at. But I think he almost accepts what he is, at this point. It's like, yeah, they do the big power stuff. It's like when he's with Diesel, they do the big power stuff. I'll fly around, like a little undercarder, but I'll do it in a main event way. I'll do it in the way that's like, their strength builds to my big dive, and it's going to get the biggest pop, my big dive. And there you go, there's me using mid-card smaller guy stuff to be the guy like that. You can tell there's like that thought process here because all of the focus is on him. He does that, and the dive always, whenever it's Vader catching Sean, there's just something about it that looks really cool because it feels like Sean, having taken a few of those Vader hits through the match, just puts his whole body weight into it, doesn't he? It's like it's a full-on just fuck you, I'm taking you out, save yourself, mate, and just full-on bodyweight takes him out on the outside. Like, there's so much good stuff from Sean here.
They would show the clip, wouldn't they, all the time, because it's
the SummerSlam one.
It's what people forget is like in this one, it's the spot where he gets his heat back, isn't it? But like the one from SummerSlam is obviously a mid-match version of it. And you're right about how he just says, you know what, Vader, you can take this one, mate, because there's no hands in the shot. Like the visual is so clean. He's going like shoulders first with his hands behind him because he's not worried about giving like Vader a bigger base. He's like, Vader, you can catch me. And as a result, it has this effect where it looks like he's zipping through the air. And it's just a totally different look of a dive. And it is, I'm sure as I'm describing it, people can picture that SummerSlam spot. It's the same type of dive that Sean does here. And it's clearly something that maybe on the house shows they realize they can do together. And Sean just, again, it's like the hands go behind him, like a duck's wings when they're flying. That's Sean. It's just that, and it's so great to watch.
It's like, I'm only small. I can't hear you that much, can I? Come on, big man, take it. You can tell there's that part of it as well. But yeah, obviously that's the baby faces are flying, and like say we're getting like the big moment with Sid with the triple choke slams and Ahmed and Sid teaming up and Sean it and all this big stuff. And it's a bit like that click tag. Things are going so fucking well for the lads. It's just like, what a party, what a great moment. It's like, we're getting to the finish now. We're gonna get to see the big moment. But yeah, Sean goes in the corner to stomp the mat with the super kit. Doesn't count on James E. Cornette being there, holding on to him in the corner. And I think this is one of the great finishes as Vader crushes him in the corner with the splash, hits the Vader bomb. And like for everything you can say about Sean, clean as a sheet, Sean 1, 2, 3 gets pinned by Vader, and like, okay, maybe he's not focused in the post-match, which you can get into, but like for a moment that you can replay and you can use to sell this Vader character as, the credible one who could beat Sean, like, it's great for Vader. I'm not sure it's so great for Sean. Again, there's been a few things. I say early in his run. We're kind of in the mid range of his run at this point, aren't we? But there's been quite a few little undercutty things in his run. Remind you of a Rey Mysterio run, or a lot of those guys that Vince would put on top that he wouldn't 100% get behind. You know what I mean? Steve Austin wasn't eating a double pin with the British Bulldog. Probably wasn't getting pinned clean by Leon White. But for what it does for Vader, at least in the moment. Whether it does in the match itself is another question. Like, you can't do anything but give credit to Shawn. It's a proper strong finish. And again, it's a bit of a pop the balloon one, like the term we coined on the last show.
And you kind of accuse them, WWE that is, of like not making the best of this. They hit this so hard in the build between this show and SummerSlam. Like every Raw, every time Shawn Michaels was on television, Vader pinned him, Vader pinned him, Vader pinned him. It was like the big looming threat over the SummerSlam match. It wasn't, to be honest, it maybe worked against it because it wasn't really about, do you remember on the SummerSlam poster, it says something like opposites attack? And it was never really about Vader being big and Shawn being small. It was about, well, Vader's pinned him, so you can pin him again. That they hit that so hard. And obviously that plays into the structure of the match at SummerSlam. But and yeah, the comeback happens awfully quickly, which is a bit of a, it's not very familiar for the time, is it? 50-50 booking didn't go on as much then as it does now. Like you'd expect something like this more in the modern age than you would in the mid-90s, but like the baby faces are up and about pretty quickly. But the important thing is they captured the footage. Like, you don't need to replay it to know that Vader pinned Shawn Michaels, and that is the headline.
No. There you go, and that's the thing to note. Although, as you mentioned, we do get it. Just again, feels like shoot powerbomb. He's telling Obi and Davey, "Fuck it, you're going up." And powerbombing, as Vader, as you mentioned, tries to escape and then gets caught by another short dive. This is the really pretty one to kind of, and again, it's got that behind it, hasn't it? Because it's not just there to hit the dive; it's there to continue and keep hitting him because he wants to. He doesn't want to let him get away. It adds to the heat leading into SummerSlam there, and we got a bit of a pull apart brawl as Vader powders. Glorious stuff.
Oh, it was magic, man. It was I love this match. Honestly, I would recommend people going. I wouldn't quite put it on that upper tier that we talk about sometimes, that very elite in your house tier, but it runs it pretty close. Like, it's a very unique match. There's not many matches like this, I would say.
Absolutely, and again, it's a 6-man, isn't it? So again, that's the pay-per-view number being down. Also, not remembered as well. During the show run, I can't remember. I'd like to go back and listen when we covered this entire run on GRAPPL as to whether we loved or hated this match. I can't remember, but we were watching a lot of 1996 Shawn in a row. So a 6-man tag with Davey Boy in it probably wasn't top of the agenda. But watch it in isolation here, I had a hell of a time, and it was a great party babyface match, and it worked for what it was, for a lesser show in the build to much more important stuff. But speaking of more important stuff, we don't close the show with that, and we do get a Gorilla Monsoon obviously backstage, but before we sign off with Doc Hendricks talking to him there, and he obviously confirms that Undertaker and Mankind will be in the boiler room at SummerSlam, as was alluded to earlier in the night. And then we get it again, even sweatier Vader and Jim Cornette interrupting, demanding the next title shot against Heartbreak Shawn Michaels. And Cornette's right. Vader beat him. He literally beat him, as you said there. And that's the thing they use, and the stick they use to beat Shawn, to beat him with to set up the match. And there you go. There's your main event for SummerSlam 96 set up. And we're off to the races, and the Leon White push nothing could possibly go wrong into the end of 1996. We've got great things to come.
And you get the wrap up, don't you, with just the nice, obviously the clips of the matches interspersed with some lovely shots of Vancouver. And I love them too. I think they're a real impressive thing to considering you've just watched the show. But the fact they interspersed it with like lovely images of Vancouver, I couldn't help thinking, like, if they missed a trick not going here regularly, like they could have hammered this market more than they did. Like, it was only in 97 when you started getting there's like a month where there's going to be 2 shows in America and 2 shows in Canada. What a stroke of luck. Like, after this, I would have happily had a residency in Vancouver, because what a nice city this was for them on this night.
Yeah, and I can't believe as a kid it didn't make an impression on me to go, when I get older, I don't want to go to Toronto, don't want to go to New York, I want to go to Vancouver, because you're right, it looked fucking picturesque here, and obviously you can confirm that as well, which you can also on a previous version of Housekeeping if you want the full tales. But that brings us to the end of another In Your House. Fun one again, not necessarily one where we had the big match, but I guess that main event, like you say, close enough, even if not in that same pantheon of the big matches we've talked in the past. But I don't know, for me it feels a little bit like we're flying through this show 96 run. Obviously next time out we're going to be obviously looking at SummerSlam 96 in the rear view, aren't we? We're going to be moving on quite quickly before we know it, and we're going to be getting into into 1987. But savor it while it's here. This was pure distilled babyface Shawn, and also gave us a bit of a look at the future of the Fed and what was to come over the next couple of years.
The narrative has changed slightly, hasn't it? It's gone from Shawn like screaming, "Follow that motherfuckers" backstage because he knew that nobody else could, to simply being the best. Like, there are people on this undercard that are starting to show that they actually can level up to a Shawn Michaels, but he is still the man. Like, he leaves that such a good taste in your mouth. Like, you forget. Like, we started this review talking about the frigging Body Donners versus the Smoking Guns. That might as well have been on a different pay-per-view, because by the time we've gotten to the end, you just left with the sort of the memories of this cracking six-man and just how amazing Shawn Michaels was. You make a point about the Rey Mysterio comparison. I do wish that Vince McMahon had more faith in Shawn, because it sounded like he had plenty of faith in him on the run-up. And it's funny about the white meat babyface Shawn was at this point, because as a wrestler, peerless, absolutely peerless. No wonder he did those poses down the camera at Good Friends, Better Enemies, because nobody in WCW could touch him. Not a soul.
It's that thing of like only going like 80 or 90% in, because he clearly loves Shawn, you can tell from the commentary, but he's got that little bit of hesitancy, and it's like, what are you gaining out of that? Like I keep saying, yes, there's people who aren't watching, yes, there's a smaller audience, but as we learned with recent WWE, save that audience that are there. That will actually do you well. Make them happy. Give them more moments like this. But yeah, these types of nights would be a little bit fleeting coming up. But there we go. Like I said, we'll be onto SummerSlam '96 and the fallout coming up on Housekeeping. And as always, Michael, obviously on the next episode of Housekeeping, we know our match that we're going to be doing for the 5-star match review. But do you want to let the people know how they can get involved for future ones as well? And obviously timely considering some of our podcast feed issues.
Yes, we like our 5-star match review, which is basically our excuse to beg you to leave us a 5-star rating and a review in order to get us up the podcast charts, get more people finding Benno and Hamflett's In Your House, which, as Benno points out, in the situation with Spotify, the more people that can find us, the better, especially now. If you've left us a review on Spotify in the past, we should have it, but don't be afraid. Leave us another one if you want, or in this short term while we kind of reboot and rejig everything. If you want to leave a review on YouTube with maybe like your subscription or something like that, whatever, get us over social media, that kind of thing. Anything's fine. If you're engaging with the podcast, we're very grateful. And with that, if in the review section you want to leave us a request for us to review a match, it could be anything at all, but we've very much enjoyed looking at wrestlers that have featured in our timeline, but maybe with a match outside of the In Your House one. That's fine. It could be Shawn, it could be Brett, it could be Sid, it could be anybody, it could be even CM Punk, because me and Benno both like him and don't get to talk about him much together, and there's never not some CM Punk to talk about. But yeah, anything at all, old on you. Stick it in the 5-star review box, and we will get to it as a thank you with a name check for leaving us that review. And you can check those reviews out on every edition of Housekeeping, which drop in between all of these In Your House reviews. Another one coming on the next edition of the show.
Absolutely. And yeah, as we've been saying, if you found your way this far and you're this far into the podcast, well, you must be a great fan, and you must be a bit smarter than the average podcast listener. We very much appreciate it. But yeah, if you're looking for a regular way to catch us, use the Acast link, resubscribe to us in your podcast player of choice. There should be instructions in the description. Again, we thank you for sticking with us as well. But yeah, as Michael said, get your 5-star match reviews in. But yeah, there's one you won't be able to suggest there. Or you could, I suppose. We could do it twice, but it is fair to say, obviously, with this coming out, it will be I think we'll have announced it on the GRAPPL feed by now. We are going to be over on that channel to get into the plugs, reviewing a little known show called Bash at the Beach 1996, because weirdly our strange year over at GRAPPL, where we've seemed to have chronicled Hulk Hogan's mid 1990s as founders at Bash at the Beach 1996 at the exact time that we're covering July 1996 on the Fed on this channel as well. So if you would like a bit of a duel there, Benno and Hamflett, maybe we should switch sides. I don't know how we could reverse it and go the evil Hamflett maybe on the Bash at the Beach side. Maybe you'll have to spray paint yourself a black beard or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But yeah, we're gonna have Michael on the Patreon reviewing Bash at the Beach 1996 with me and Matty, the full show, as well as the Hogan angle at the end. So yeah, that's the type of thing that interests you. Generally, not trying to gouge anyone. If you're not a fan of GRAPPL and you're just here for Michael, you can even get a free trial over there to give give that a listen as well. And cancel at the end. I cancel loads of free trials. I've got no problem with people doing that. Just come and listen. We'd love to have you on board. And yeah, excited to have Michael over. So yeah, I'd like to plug the overall GRAPPL stuff, patreon.com/GRAPPL, all that stuff. But main thing is, Michael on this month, and I'm very much looking forward to it myself.
I cannot wait to dive in, man. I'm really excited. Look, I think it's lovely that we're giving the number 2 promotion of the night is a little bit of shine. I think it's nice to give the little guy a hair ruffle once in a while. Yes, I'm very much excited to be back and rejoining the GRAPPL fold for that one. But in the meantime, if you want any of my bollocks, you can do so through searching What Culture. We review Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Dynamite, and Collision every single week. You can get them through searching What Culture on YouTube or online on your podcast feeds. All that sort of good stuff is available. And yes, in the meantime, and yeah, I suppose if you want to leave us a 5-star review over there, you can do as well. But yes, very, very excited to be back on your Patreon. So I'll give you one more plug as well. Get onto the GRAPPL Patreon. It is well worth your money and your time.
Oh, thank you, mate. Very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to our next housekeeping and continuing on this journey through 1996. But like I say, if you want to keep up to date with us, follow me on Twitter at BensonRichardE. Follow Michael
at Michael Hamflett.
And until next time, we will catch you then. And thanks for the house.